Welcome back, folks. We are here with the Top 25 show live every single Monday as we go live to you guys every single week for the Top 25. Listen, this is a collective poll, and it takes a group effort to do this thing. We're very excited to be bringing this to you guys every single week. We're very transparent with our picks. As you guys see with my picks every single week, I release them with our total Top 25 graphic. That way you can see everything that's going on behind the scenes. I'm open to all questions. Listen, this is not a perfect science. We still got to go through a lot of games. I know all three of us here on this show watched a lot of games this weekend. Doesn't mean we catch everything, and it doesn't mean we're perfect. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. It's a college baseball, kids, 18 to 24-year-olds. Stuff's going to happen every single week. We're going to have teams that jump into the top 25, teams that fall out of the top 25. But excited to bring you the conversations every single Monday. Joined again by my wonderful co-host here. I got Will Mossa. How we doing, Will?
Oh, fantastic. Just got home. So honestly, I've been scrambling all evening and had some Hawaii baseball on while I am cooking dinner. And then I went, oh boy, like we're live. So I had to jump in here. We're a little bit scrambled, but we're doing great. Weekend one finally in the books. And I mean, honestly, it was kind of everything you expect, right? We got the football scores, we got the walk-offs, we got the huge upsets. It's back, right? College baseball is back. That's kind of what we live for.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy to be back after opening weekend. I mean, so many good games. I mean, we just had a walk-off in Oregon State, Michigan, like an hour ago. Like, it's awesome. We've had some great baseball. Jason Ratcliffe with us again from 64 Analytics. How we doing, my friend?
Yeah, so a couple of comments. One, I'm perfect. So I don't know what all this, like, we're not perfect things are. I went 5-0. So you guys can say what you would like, but my picks were 5-0. So
fair.
First, speak for yourself. Second off, to add on to Will's comment about scrambled eggs, lots of scrambled comments. There's a reason I'm currently drinking a venti cappuccino. It's because esta noche is going to be muy grande. I'm going to be up late. Yeah, lots of things going on, lots of stuff in the back ends, trying to get everything done. So I am actively working on a number of things. So I will be here. I will be awesome. I will be hopeful to be transparent and as helpful as possible, but you may get some blank glazes at me at times. That's for sure.
Listen, I feel like I may have done the least today. I went and played 18 holes of golf and shot an 82. So, and then it started snowing about hole 9. We started getting snow dumping on us, and I played even better. So it was fantastic. It was good to get out there and go play a little bit of golf today. So I was excited for that. But so much college baseball. I literally had 2 screens in my golf cart going, and the guy riding with me was like, "What are you doing, man?" I'm like, "If you don't like this, you can get in another cart. Go play by yourself. Like, this is how we play golf up here. All right, figure it out." But it was fantastic to get out there. Let's talk about some of the weekend stories. Big one was that opening weekend series with 2 mid-majors going at each other, UCSB and USM, Southern Mississippi. It was tremendous. I mean, it was a great opening weekend. We got Jackson, Flora, Colby Allen on Friday, and then the rest of the series was just back and forth. Really good baseball. Will, I know we had watched every inning of that game on one of our multiple screens, but it was great to see some mid-major top 25 clubs, really, even though one of them is not in our top 25.
Yeah, and as much as I love these early season tournaments, like the Shriners down in Arlington and the Round Rock, there's something just better about series baseball. Like the fact that we got to watch a full 3-game set, like I love that more than anything. I'd rather sit down and watch 3 games of a series than have to kind of scroll back and forth through different tournaments. And this one was crazy. I mean, it felt like game 1 was all Jackson Flora. He showed every single bit of being, quite honestly, he probably looked the best of any pitcher in college baseball this weekend. Like Dax Whitney, we mentioned on Saturday morning, like wasn't crazy sharp, and even Cam Fluke got hit around at times. So I think in terms of like who looked the best in the draft world too, I think it was Jackson Flora. And then of course you had that insane game 3 at the end where The shortstop for Southern Miss drops the infield pop fly. You get the triple to tie the game. And then, of course, it ends on a walk-off walk of all things. A very classic college baseball string of events all in one inning. So really a really fun series, though. I mean, those are two teams. I walked away from that series going, wow, like UCSB, it felt like deserved of trying to get a spot in the top 25 after this week, despite going 1-2. I mean, Hattiesburg is one of the most hostile environments in college baseball, and to go out there, shut it down on game one and really compete your butt off in games 2 and 3. And realistically, you probably should have walked away with a win on game 3. I know the bullpen was shaky at times, and that's going to be something to watch moving forward. But the offense for UCSB really impressed me, which was my biggest question about them coming into this year.
Yeah, and I know, in the spirit of transparency like we are, I said whoever wins this series is going to be my 24th team. Southern Miss gets in. They're my 24th team. They're there for a reason. Very good baseball club, and it was a tremendous series. Let's shift gears. Jason, Barcy goes wild for Vanderbilt, man. 3 home runs in that series, like hitting the ball 110 miles an hour multiple times throughout the weekend. Tell us a little bit about that craziness.
Yeah, so I think this was my 4th or 5th time to go to Arlington. And I remember watching the Volunteers in the 22 season when they won it all. And I think they were like 18th or 19th in the country. I think that was 22, 23. Sorry if I'm getting the season wrong. And they hit a number of them. I was like, well, that would be gone in Lindsey Nelson. Like crazy power, like that's going to be gone in Lindsey Nelson. And sitting there watching all of these balls go out, it was like, what's going on? It was wild. It was extremely impressive. And frankly, it was almost to the point of alarming, because we were talking about some great pitching. I mean, there was some phenomenal pitching in this one. You got Gackel and Strasnyder and Mercurius and, all of these guys that really were, they are top of their positions. And to see all of the balls going out was really kind of wild. And I was sitting right next to some guys with Vanderbilt, and we were talking about, well, the old Vandy stomp of home plate, like, is it gone? Last year, like, the offense just really wasn't there. And literally game 1, I think they hit 4 home runs. So it was like, okay,
4
never
solo
mind.
shots, but 4 home runs.
Yeah, it's like, okay, never mind. Like, they can stomp on home plate as much as they want, I guess. So, I mean, it was a weird series kind of all the way around, because I think if I thought TCU going into the Sunday, and I will get to it, but that was a massive surprise for me, for not only Oklahoma to win, but to win as emphatically as they did.
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting there waiting to finish out our votes going, all right, where are we going with this one? Like, if Oklahoma, like, do they deserve to be in even if they lose to TCU? We didn't even have them on the board as blowing out TCU. And it changed our view a little bit of TCU, too, because some of us had TCU very high at that point. And not that they don't deserve to be a top 5 team, but the fact of the matter is Oklahoma took it to them, and they took it to everybody that weekend. This weekend was unbelievable. Oklahoma was really good. We'll talk about them here in a second. I do want to shift to another game that probably not a lot of people watched. Baylor and Armstrong hits 3 grand slams, Will. Like, a guy that you highlighted said, hey, maybe, he's going to be a little bit of an addition to this Baylor offense. We like what Baylor's bringing back offensively. 3 grand slams, tough to beat for the weekend.
Yeah, unbelievable. Very well deserved of the Big 12 newcomer of the week. I don't know how you top that kind of performance. So you could have gone 0 for the rest of the weekend, and it wouldn't have mattered because of what you did in game 1. So just an electric performance. Yeah, I talked about Baylor a lot as a team that I think is trending in the right direction. I think the coaching staff is doing a lot of good things. They brought back a lot of the rotation from last year. You brought back Sanders at shortstop, like a lot of good pieces. And obviously, you may have found a gem in Armstrong. I'm really curious to see what he does over the course of the season. Obviously, I could sit here and overreact to one game and say, he's gonna light up the Big 12 all season. We're gonna find out, right? It's his first taste of Big 12 baseball with Baylor, and I'm just excited to see what he does. And I think as a Baylor fan, like, you got to be excited about what you saw on offense.
Yeah, offensively, it was surprising, right? Yeah, Jason.
I think it was game 2 or game 3 that series. He actually got up with the bases loaded again, and he got hit. So it was a hit by pitch. So the guy's been up to base 4 times with the bases loaded. He has 13 RBIs. Like that's solid efficiency. So impressive stuff.
Yeah,
and ESPN gave us the golden stat that 3 grand slams equals 12
and
RBIs.
12 RBIs.
So, yeah, it equals 12 runs and 12 RBIs. Good.
Wild
Thank
stuff.
Thank you for that, Matt.
true sports champions of our industry.
It's unbelievable. And as much as we scream and say, hey, ESPN's got to cover this game better, there's a lot of people that covered this game great this weekend. I wanted to give a shout out to so many people, all the folks that are in the college baseball realm and got out there and knew what they were talking about. Really good stuff. I know that there's some places that probably didn't cover it as well, that really could have done better, especially some TV broadcasts. So we would love to see some college baseball people in those broadcasts that know the game a little bit more. But happy to have it out there and so glad to be able to talk college baseball again. Listen, Oklahoma, Jason, you saw them heads up. Just wild what they were able to do. I don't think any of us thought that the offense could be there. Like, we're like, okay, they're going to play small ball. Maybe they have the pitching to compete. They were ranked 14th in almost everybody's SEC picks. They don't look like the 14th best team in the SEC.
No. So I would say my pick for the best weekend in D1. Start of the weekend, so they played that first game versus Texas Tech. Frankly, it was kind of a snooze fest the first 3 to 5 innings. Tech was actually up. It was 1-0 for a bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you really, those last 20 some odd innings, I mean, they effectively run ruled Oklahoma State. I think it was 10-1. So
Yep.
Not entirely, but then they actually did run ruled super talented TCU. So those last 20 or so innings, I mean, they effectively were 30 and I don't know, 3 or 4. That was basic. It was wild. They basically just took over that stadium. And I was talking to a guy in between between Saturday and Sunday, and we were trying to rank the teams that were at the tournament, and I put Oklahoma 4th, and he was like, "Oh, above the team number 3," and I said, "Yeah, because I think Oklahoma just they played, in my opinion, the 6th and the 5th best team in that pairing." So I was like, "Well, yeah, they beat Oklahoma State, they beat Texas Tech, but that's 2 teams that potentially may not be in the tournament, come June."
Yeah.
But then they turn around and on Sunday they open up a can on TCU.
Yeah.
So it kind of threw my thought process out the window. Hitting, Gambill had a monster weekend. He went 4 for 7 with 2 bombs. Dude walked 6 times.
Yeah.
6 times.
Really
He
good
had no
at
case. I mean, honestly, he probably should get some National Player of the Week recognition. Had a near 2,200 OPS against quality arms. This wasn't against, Sisters of the Poor. I'm not going to say some random school and try to make them feel bad. This was against some good teams.
Yeah.
So as a team, they had 5 guys hit over 1,000. They had a near 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. But frankly, it was their pitching that stood out. I mean, I just talked about how good the hitting was, and it was phenomenal, but it was really the pitching. I mean, you had a number of teams that, you look at Florida and you look at, maybe Alabama that are saying hey, what do we do for our Friday night guy? Because our Saturday and our Sunday did so well. You don't have that issue with Oklahoma because they all 3 were dominant. The starting pitchers went 16 and a third. They had gave up 8 hits, 8 walks, something like that, and they struck out 31. So you basically have a sub 1 whip with a, I don't know, 3.5 to 1 K to walk ratio. It's pretty damn good. And again, against quality competition. So for me, Oklahoma won the weekend, and frankly, I don't think it was close. I think there are others like Houston that you could say, wow, they did a lot. And I think there are some other teams that you can say, you had a good weekend, but I don't think you saw it where someone who went up against 3 Power 5 conferences, all strong arms, and dominated that well.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? Dominated. It wasn't like they were in baseball games. Yes, they were close to Texas Tech to start, but they took it to TCU and Oklahoma State. They were never really down in either one of those games or close in either one of those games. They started off from the start and just said, we're going to win this. And a lot of that was the pitching. I mean, really, the pitching was super good and great to watch. I was just shocked to see how tremendously talented they were on that side of the ball. So really, I think the thing that shocked me the most, though, was definitely the offense. I think I just didn't expect the offense to come through like that. And it was great. I mean, it was really, really good stuff to see from them.
Shout out to Cam Johnson.
We're just going to jump to that with him. He won our pitcher of the week. He went 6 innings pitched, 1 unearned run, 11 strikeouts, and only 3 hits. tip of the cap to that young man who's been through it, right? He went to LSU, didn't really work out on the weekends for them, transfers to Oklahoma, had some struggles last year. Boy, he looks like the guy we all thought he could have been this whole time. So it was great to see that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head, but this is a guy who was like top 15 perfect game guy out of high school. Everyone was honestly shocked that he made it to campus. And when he got there, it was always like a live arm, and everyone was like, this guy's got a ton of potential, but he just struggled with walks.
Yeah.
And he frankly, like, he started to hit a little bit of that last year at Oklahoma as well. They didn't really get as much, they didn't need him as much because, they had the brothers, the Witherspoon brothers. So like they didn't need like his arm as much, but to see him go in there and be dominant, and not only that, but to have like face some adversity, because those 3 walks, I'm fairly certain, I think he had them all in 1 inning. So to have that adversity and then turn around and effectively, be dominant again, and he's maybe pitcher 2 for them. And I know he's their Friday night guy, but sitting behind home plate, and I'm probably butchering his name. Apologies. I'm so bad with names. Mercurius. I don't know how to pronounce it.
EJ Mercurius.
Yeah, thank you. I thought for some reason it was like Mercurius. I was like, someone's gonna butcher me.
It could be,
but
I could be wrong too, Jason. We don't know.
I was right behind home plate for that one, like in the dirt, almost to the point where it was a little bit obstructive. But to see his changeup, like how he was able to place it on the inside edge, specifically for lefties, like they have a real pitching staff. So I mean, you never want to, start to write someone's season after week 1, but you definitely feel like you can at least put a few paragraphs in there for Oklahoma, because that was really impressive.
Yeah, and Skip Johnson, we know that he's been a tremendous pitching coach, right? We know that he's been able to get teams there. It's always been a little bit of speed and defense and pitching, but the pop really shocked me, especially in Arlington, where that ball doesn't necessarily fly out in years past. We were just shocked. I mean, that there's no other way to put it other than shocked by the way that Oklahoma played, especially last night's game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get true freshman Cord Rager on the bump getting his first start and just absolutely took it to TCU for 7 innings. And I think he had 8 strikeouts. I mean, the kid was unbelievable in his first start against a lineup that I've been beating the drum on. Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's going to be one of the best lineups in college baseball. And to go do that in game 1, it's one of those situations where TCU comes off a super emotional win off of Arkansas, and you run into a hot Oklahoma team who's kind of just beat the brakes off of everybody and feels like they haven't been pushed super hard at that point. You feel like the little bit of a sleepy spot for TCU, and Oklahoma capitalized immediately. I mean, they put them away fast. And I think that's the most impressive part, is that could have been one of those games where sure they notch a few early and kind of roll through, and TCU does their thing, comes back. No, as soon as they got that lead, man, they really put the foot to the pedal there. And I was really impressed. I was more impressed with the pitching, quite honestly. That was my biggest question mark, especially the rotation coming into this year. When you lose a guy like Kyson Witherspoon, who's pretty much as automatic as it comes as a win in the SEC, and you got to replace him, and then you're replacing the rest of the rotation and adding in a true freshman. It's like, what is this team going to be? Yeah. And to give the ball to a true freshman against the best team you face all weekend, and for that to be the result, I think you got to walk away saying, I think we're going to be all right in conference play for sure. Again, the offense, super impressive, but that the pitching performances really blew me away, and able to just hold those big leads too.
Yeah, I guess to me, it's like I just believe Skip Johnson's going to have one of the best pitching staffs always, just because he's shown that no matter what arms he gets, he develops them and makes them better. And I trust him when he says he's going to throw a freshman, that he's going to be good. I didn't think he was going to be that good against that lineup. But, you trust that he's going to put out a guy that's going to be successful, and you put him in a good spot. They were successful. So big on them. Cam Johnson, our pitcher of the week. Let's move to freshman of the week. Miles Upchurch from Alabama. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 9 Ks. Our co-host Jared, who's not with us tonight, huge on this kid in the offseason, kept saying this kid's going to be a tremendous freshman. Really showed out there. Will, that was a great pitching performance when they really needed to get a couple wins on Saturday after losing the opener to Washington State.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It was like the perfect bounce back for them. They dropped Friday night to a team that, quite honestly, you should handle with ease. And, in all fairness, we were the highest on Alabama, I think, of any outlet in the country. So to see like game one drop that way, and you're like, all right, like I guess we've got some big questions. And we knew there was gonna be questions on the pitching, right? You lose a guy like Riley Quick from last year, like you lose a first round pick, you're always gonna have to figure out some sort of replacement, right? And you go and get beat by a cold weather team in your own barn. It's kind of a tough pill to swallow, but to bounce back with 9 strikeouts over 4 innings for a true freshman, it's like, okay, that instills some confidence in the rest of the team. Like we've got a guy that we're probably going to give the ball to every Saturday, and he's going to give us a legit chance to win.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing about Alabama, folks, is like we're not going to hit the panic button on them. They had 3 outfielders that were injured and didn't play this weekend. And so you're talking about an entire starting outfield for them, really didn't get to play any at-bats for them. That's a huge difference. So those guys will be back. They will be at full strength at some point this season, they're hoping. So that's kind of a big difference when you're talking about 3 of your top 9 hitters and, really 3 of the top 6 hitters for this roster were not in that game. That makes it kind of tough also when you're going out there with some guys that are getting some opportunities and, quite frankly, didn't take advantage of them very well in that opportunity. So moving to our player of the week, Caden Sorrell, Texas A&M. Texas A&M felt like they were back. He was 9 for 15, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. Jason, this kid is, when he's on, and he's good, and he keeps raising that draft stock now. He's hitting the ball opposite field with pop. Like, he looks like the player that we kind of were hoping was going to develop last year. Now he's got the supporting cast around him. Unbelievable what he did this weekend.
Yeah, thank you also for pausing for me to chew the food. I appreciate that.
You.
I'm sure. No, you're the man. Cheese Danish from Starbucks. Highly recommend. So I want to say I've seen about 15, maybe 16 teams batted practice over the past few months. So, not a lot, but a decent size. And his BP is by far and away the best I saw of any of them. It feels like the first 10 to 15 swings, he's basically saying, I want to go in that oppo left center field gap. Yeah. And I'm not kidding. It felt like he was taking the ball and throwing it where he wanted to go. It was every single time with power over the fence for a good majority of the time, oppo. And I remember in that scrimmage versus TCU, I think it was the first pitch versus Baylor, he took him oppo left center field. I mean, it was like watching a professional hitter, is simply put as that I can. It was like watching a professional hitter. And so to see him translating that into the game, now again, like competition wasn't elite. Everyone was grabbing a bat and going crazy that weekend for A&M, but it was incredibly impressive. And the wild thing is, and I may get killed for this, I think he's 3rd best hitter on the team. Which for me is just crazy. Like Grahovac looked back, he looked really good. Hakopian was mashing the ball. Yeah. So I was talking to some A&M fans, and I was talking to some individuals associated with the program, and I was super, super high on this team entering the year, but I felt a little vindicated. Now again, don't write the story at game weekend 1, but they look damn good. If Sadeo can return to what he was previously, if Weston Moss can really become kind of that solidified weekend guy, he came out of the pen a couple of years ago, last year as well, if I remember correctly. If they can really rely on those 2 guys, I think their ceiling is 1. I really do think that. Now, I don't think the pitching's elite, but that's why you really need those 2 guys to turn around. And you could see it because there were some. Will mentioned some football numbers. That weekend had some football numbers. So it was impressive. A&M's social media team put out kind of like their metrics of the weekend, and it was pretty wild. The numbers that not only the team was doing, but those 3 were doing.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact is Texas A&M looked like they were back. They looked like the part of what we expected that offense to be a year ago, and I'm very excited for it. I'm here for it. I think that's a great thing. And we didn't even get to see Hakopi in all 3 games because he got the flu and he missed game 3. But, man, the ceiling is so high for this team. We might be higher on them than a lot of people, but we moved them up again because they're showing us what they could be, and I think that is really the important part here of this one.
I mean, he put up, I think, a 115 exit velo single. I mean, so like, yeah, he didn't play. Like, his talent is unreal, and he had to play at second base That like the big thing that people kept talking about when they got him was like, what position does he play?
Yeah.
Like, he wants to play middle infield. Is he middle infielder? Is he more of a third baseman? Like, what's his position? I mean, he gloved a ball from second going into that hole, and he threw it back and got him easy. Like
Yeah.
it looked like a shortstop playing second, which frankly I wasn't expecting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's gonna figure it out, right? I think that defensively, we were like, okay, is he bigger? He played third base before. How's he gonna move? He looked
Yeah.
fine. I really think that he looked fine, and we didn't really know where he was gonna play, but I'm excited that he's there, and I think that it's the right spot for him. And boy, I'm just really happy for this Texas A&M squad. I just think that there's just a huge, got to be a sigh of relief for this team where they're just got to breathe and be like, all right, we're playing baseball again at the level we know we can. So very excited for that one. Let's jump into the top 25. We're already 25 minutes into this thing. We've been so excited talking about the weekend stuff. Number 25, Florida Gators. Now, they did go 2-1 over the weekend, but they lost the opener at home. And it's just a tough look when you lose to at home against anybody when you're not playing in one of these tournaments. Tournaments, you give them a little bit more grace because they're neutral side. It's kind of tougher for everybody. At home, you just don't feel as great about it. And Liam Peterson got knocked around a little bit. I think that 25 is a safe bet for them. I think that, they probably could end up much higher later in the season. But right now, they just kind of look like they're still got a lot of question marks to me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, if I don't know if you're good, I'll take this
I'm-
next one.
I'm
That
back.
way, give you a second. So this was probably the weirdest first game. I think there were some. They're like, hey, this like the Alabama Washington State one was a little like perplexing because I think Washington State was picked near at the bottom of the. I think they're Mountain West. I can't
Mountain
remember which
West.
conference. Yeah. So seeing Bama not only lose, but pretty much Florida not only lose, kind of lose in like kind of sloppy way would maybe be the best. I mean, they dropped the pop up. I want to say like at 8th or 9th inning is allowed them to score 2. Like there was a number of things that happened. That was like this doesn't look like Florida. Great to see Kyle Jones. One-time Stetson transfer. He got injured last year. Great to see him come in. He had a great weekend. 5 doubles in one series, which is really hard to do. Usually some of those doubles become home runs. So I'm sure he would have gotten a little more exit velo on a few of those, or not a launch angle, but it is what it is. Lots of moving pieces. They only had 5 guys start in the field, for all 3 games. So they had 4 positions pretty much up for grabs, it felt like, on that weekend, which was pretty interesting to see. Liked what I saw out of Carson Bowen, TCU transfer. Yeah, he was so good for them as a freshman. And it felt like he kind of just took a little bit of a back seat his sophomore and junior year. So it's kind of like, he didn't really become that player everyone thought he would be as a true freshman. And to see him go in there, he looked pretty good. Cole Stanford, I'm a big D2 fan. He's another catcher transfer that came from, I think, Lenore Ryan D2 program. So he started that 3rd game for them. So again, they'll probably a platoon of sorts just to make sure that they stay healthy. Florida likes to do that a lot with their catchers. Blake Sear, another one-time transfer from the Miami Hurricanes. I know Canes Cat is on there, so apologies, Canes Cat. But he had a great start. Only 1K and 11 ABs, which is pretty much something that he's been struggling with his whole career. So a lot to like for Florida, but pitching is really kind of where you're a little confused. Because I think everyone and their dog, maybe not everyone and their dog, but a good majority of the neighborhood has Liam Peterson kind of in that top 3 round, even to the top 1 first round kind of grade. And to see him go 3-1 with like a near 3 whip, and I mean, he had 3 Ks in 3 1/3.
Yeah,
like that's wild.
Yeah,
That's wild.
To me, I think if you're a Florida Gator fan, though, the thing to take away from the pitching is Cooper Walls, the sophomore transfer from Hawaii, really, really good for you. He went 5 1/3, only 4 hits, and just the Warner and run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. That's what you want from him to go out there and be able to compete.
Both of them.
Yeah, and King did great too.
I ultimately, if you take away that first game, which you can't, obviously, game 2 and game 3 went what would you call as scripted for Florida. So it was just one of those things, like, knock on. I mean, I don't mean to be a fortune teller here, but my assumption is you may have a different Friday starter next week, would be my guess.
I think that they might stick with him just to see one more
think
week,
so?
just go from it. Yeah, I think that they'll give him another opportunity but it wouldn't surprise me if Aiden King eventually takes over that role because I think that we think that his arm talent is just up there too. So like,
That's
it's
just a
not
few
really a drop
bad.
off.
It's a few bad in a row. I mean,
Yeah,
he also struggled in the regionals. So I mean, I don't think you take him out of the rotation. I clearly don't. But I also think, you want to start with like a good foot forward. And Kennesaw State's, they're a good team.
yeah,
Like
they're gonna
that's not a
hit.
team. That's not a team you want to like give a 5 spot to in the first 3 innings.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of been his MO the past like 3 or 4 starts is he's either going to be dominant or he's going to be out before the 4th. So if I was Florida, I'd say, hey, take a step back, go on Saturday or Sunday, like take a deep breath, do your thing. You know your arm talent, you can make it work. So I mean they play I think Stetson in the midweek.
and then
Yeah.
They've got a home and
State.
home.
Yeah. So they should be okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went 2-1 against Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State always has a good program.
Good program, good hitting team. We know that. Excited to see that this weekend to see what changes. I mean, maybe they stick with the same. I have a feeling they're going to stick with the same and just kind of see maybe it was just a one-time thing for him. But I would say that if there's more struggles before we get to SEC play, it won't shock me to see Aiden King be that Friday night guy for them. Moving on to number 24, Southern Miss. They just did what they were supposed to do. Yeah, they lost to Jackson Flora on Friday. A lot of teams are going to struggle and lose to Jackson Flora on Friday. The guy was throwing 101 miles an hour, and his fastball got better with movement. He's going to be real tough. He's going to be a problem. He might be the second highest rated right-handed pitcher when the draft is done in July. But listen, Southern Miss, hats off to them. They really looked the part of being a top 25 team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought they competed well against Flora. I mean, I was curious to see what the at-bats would look like because when Jackson Flora got beat last year, he actually got beat on the fastball. Like the fastball got hit hard last year. He gave up a lot of long balls. He gave up a lot of extra base hits on it, but man, he looked sharp. But for USM to bounce back and you win game 2, 8-6, and then you have the crazy game in game 3 and you walk away with a 6-5 victory, like I think you got to walk away being really, really happy on both sides of the ball. I thought Graydon Harris looked pretty sharp for the most part, got hit around in one inning. Cross Sibley looked really good out of the bullpen in game 2. Colby Allen looked sharp in game 1. Like, I think you got to be fired up about what you have on the pitching side, especially after losing a guy like JB Middleton, who was one of the best mid-major arms in the entire country last year. And then on offense, we saw a lot of new faces, good contributors. Caleb Stelly from Louisiana Lafayette from last year, he comes in and he produced really well and notched a couple of big hits. We saw Joey Urban, who's going to be probably their offensive leader all season. He went 3 for 5 with the big home run in game 3. And of course you have Matthew Russo, who's just going to mash anywhere he goes. And this offense is really good. A really, really exciting team. And I think it's just one of those things, right? I've talked about it in the offseason. Ostrander has put together, I believe it's 10 straight 40-win seasons. So he just wins, man.
He just wins.
And it doesn't matter. He's such a good pitching mind. And it's like, okay, yeah, you lose Matthew Adams and you lose JB Middleton, guys that have been starting since they were true freshmen. I mean, Matthew Adams has been in the rotation since opening weekend of his freshman season. And you're just replacing guys now. And it just feels like it's easy bake oven operation down there in Hattiesburg. It's unbelievable what he does. He's just churning guys out. And this team just wins, man.
I'm stealing that phrase.
That's
a
good one. Pete Taylor is rocking. I'm not going to say that we're not going to Pete Taylor, but I will say that we are attempting to possibly go down and visit at some point this season.
Got to get
I have heard so many phenomenal things. We're really close with a Sunbelt program that's not Southern Miss, and they basically said it's the best non-SEC environment they've been to. I think it's better than clearly some SEC environments, but in terms of like trying to put it in that echelon, I mean, they produce a profit. Like that is you could take away the conference logos and hide that little badge and you'd call them an SEC program, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they really could be. I mean, it's a tremendous program, what they've built there. Ostrander's tremendous. If you guys haven't heard, go listen to our interview we had with him. Jared sat down and talked baseball with him. Just a great baseball mind. I mean, we got to talk to so many coaches this offseason, and he was one of the top ones that we got. Let's move to an SEC team. 23, Alabama. Listen, we talked about them already. They did lose the game to Washington State. Now, a lot of people have Washington State lower. I think I might have been the only writer in the country that had them a little bit higher in the Mountain West finishing standings. But listen, it still is a loss at home on opening night. Doesn't feel great. Going to expect some more bounce back. Now, we said already they lost 3 guys from their outfield and a lot of their lineup. Will, do you think that they bounce back this week and kind of make that adjustment, or is this still going to be some growing pains throughout this season as we get going?
I'm really curious to see. And honestly, I'm not sure I know the answer. And this week, for me personally, isn't really going to solve that answer. They're going to take on Samford. They've got Alabama State, and then they've got a 3-game set with Rhode Island, who we saw really get it taken to them all weekend. So
yeah.
I think it'll be it's what I call this early in the season, certain teams choose to get fat, right? I think this is a really good week for Alabama to get fat on some teams that they're just simply better than. You'll see the offense click a little bit better. I think the pitching can find a good groove this week, and it's going to be a big week. And I mentioned it early on. We were higher on Alabama than every other media outlet, right? I think we had them top 15 in the preseason. So are they a top 15 team? Maybe not right now, but I still have a lot of confidence in that team getting better as the season moves on. I think Justin LeBron is just going to get better. The batting average this weekend was surprisingly low, but he still posted like a 1.4 OPS. I think he only hit 260, 270 on the weekend, but felt like he was on base and or hitting home runs every other time he was up. So, I mean, you got to still have confidence in what they have, and I think we all believe that this is a really solid team. Good week for them to bounce back, though. I'll put that in pen. This is a good week for them.
It's a get-right week. I mean, that's what it is going to be. They're going to have to find some pieces on offense, going to have to find some outfielders until they get 100% healthy. I didn't think the pitching was bad. I just didn't think that it was as sharp, except for Miles Upchurch. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. Zane Kelly also was very good, but I just think that there's going to, or Zane Adams, but I think it's just going to be interesting to see kind of where they go the rest of the weekend. Let's move to Oklahoma at 22, which was our first team jumping in from outside the top 25. I think they shocked a lot of people. Like I said, most polls had them at 14. Even the coaches poll had them at 14, finishing in the SEC. So a big shock there as they really took that stride forward. Jason, again, you said so much about them. Anything else you want to add about this Oklahoma team and why we have them at 22?
Frankly, I think 22 is a good number.
Yeah.
I think you don't want to overreact too much to a first weekend. And I do think you have to look at each game in a vacuum. Again, game 1 versus Tech, like that wasn't a blowout until Tech brought in a guy who literally threw his first pitch of his college career. Game 2, I mean, it was they did well, but it kind of felt like Texas Tech, kind of let go of the rope a little bit midway through that game.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the first 2 games, again, I came away going like, Oklahoma's good, but like this didn't tell me a lot. I think I said that even on the Saturday game. I was like, Oklahoma was good, but I don't think I could say a lot more than just Oklahoma was good. Obviously, Cam had a great game, but it's like I don't know if I could say therefore he'll have a great season. If that makes
and
sense.
He's had great games before, right? We've seen him perform at this level and then stumble at some points. I hope that isn't the case for him because we really like the young man. But again, we don't know. I think you're right. 22, great spot for them to be cracking. That they deserve to be in the top 25. Do they deserve to be higher than that? I don't think so. I think 22 is a good spot for them.
I would have liked to have seen them versus TCU with Strauss-Snyder throwing. Like I mean, not Strauss-Snyder, clearly not their second hitter. Laporte. I don't know why Strauss-Snyder jumped into my head. As soon as I said it, oh my gosh, when you hit a home run, his first AB, the guys from the Lupton,
the Lupton Drinking Club.
They
great guys.
Nuts. They went nuts. So sorry, it just popped in my head there for a second. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen him against Laporte. Like, it would have been the same. And I know Laporte, he gave up some bombs. But again, like, he looked good. So I think it's, for me, again, I think they deserve to be in it. I think the clamoring for them to be higher is a little too early, in my opinion.
And listen, we're going to see them in SEC series where they face an entire weekend series staff. It's a lot different when you're facing a weekend versus facing individual teams one time. And we'll agree to that. It's different. Now, did they impress? Yeah, but like you said, they probably beat the 5th and 6th teams there. And then they beat the, anywhere in the top 3 teams you could call TCU in that weekend. So,
when I ranked them, I had TCU 1 in that pairing.
I mean, they looked the best team until they got smoked by.
I was telling my buddy, I was like, I get Oklahoma beat those 2, but wait till they play the best team.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I texted and I was like, never mind.
Question marks. I don't know. Number 21, Oregon Ducks. I think we're one of the outlets that has them ranked. Listen, this is a very good team, Mark Wazakowski. We didn't know a lot of questions on the pitching side. Boy, they look like they're fine. They look like they're fine. They look like they have loaded up the pitching staff with guys that they had previously. Oh, Jason, you're muted. I don't know.
Full stop. Sorry. Cal Scolari hate in the chat. Is that what I'm...
Who's hating on him?
We had question marks on the pitcher coming in. No.
Did we know what they were all going to be though? Did we know Will Sanders?
WCC pitcher of the year.
Like I know that we had some guys, and I said that. I love Cal.
I mean, he was on my fantasy team. I don't know if you remember this.
I was high on him, and I even spoke about him when I talked to Waz. But listen, there were still question marks to know if he could pitch at that level. But yeah, I think that the fact that we saw that guys like Will Stanford step up, and we saw the freshman and Braden Jaska, the catching phenom, he gets in there for a couple games and hits his first home run, and then Laya goes out there and hits 2 home runs in a game. When you see guys like that, Angel Laya goes out there as a freshman hitting 2 home runs over the weekend. They already have Maddox Maloney. Dominic Hellman hits a ball that I don't know if it got 15 feet in the air and it traveled 430 feet. So they have hitting, they have offense, and if they get that pitching to be good enough on weekends, this is a team to watch out for. This is a team that's going to compete with UCLA as far as the Big Ten championship and further. They might be a sneaky team to get to Omaha, honestly.
Yeah, when you mentioned Maddox Maloney had a bad weekend.
He didn't have a great weekend.
Like 3 for 15, and they put up 40-something runs. Now, it was over 4 games still, but they just picked up right where they left off in terms of offensive efficiency. And, we talk about, Oklahoma's pitching weekend. Oregon, I mean, holy shit. There's 4 starters, 21 innings pitched, 5 hits allowed, and like 27 Ks, something like that.
Yeah.
So I if you're an Oregon Duck fan, I think you're going like check. Like that was one of those weekends where you kind of look around and say we kind of checked every single box we could in terms of an opening weekend.
Yeah, and I know I've been high on them all off season, and I think people were a little shocked. But you and I, Jason, we talked about this. The pitching staff is better than people gave them credit for. They showed up and proved us right, and I felt good about that. And when their superstar Maddox Maloney doesn't even go off, and they still crush the weekend. You got to go, okay, Ryan Cooney played his part. Drew Smith played his part. Great to see him healthy. If he's healthy for the whole season, he's another guy that people just haven't even seen enough of to know how good he could be. This team could really click, and I like it.
Big 10 freshman of the week in Laya. He was the Big 10 freshman of the week.
Unbelievable. And yeah, I pushed for him. I think Upchurch deserved it in our vote, but I will say that Laya was on our list and saying, I think that he was right there. But Upchurch, what he did to go back and get that win for Alabama when they needed it, it was big for them.
It wasn't a crazy 4 games. I think you all made the right decision, but it was still good. It was good. It was a 1,600 OPS, but it wasn't like a holy shit. Like
the 2 home runs were cool, and he did some other stuff, and he played pretty good in the outfield. But again, I think that it was good for them to get out there and go get those wins.
I am very excited for them in 2 weeks. I'm staying exactly put on the Ducks, and I'm going to just assume I'm going to pencil them in for 8-0. I'm going to assume they're going to take care of business with Youngstown State, who lost the Horizon Player of the Year from last year, and Kyle Fossum. I'm just going to stay put, pencil them in at 8-0, and be really excited for them to play Arizona, Irvine, Vanderbilt, and Oregon State all in 1 week. So that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah,
the Auburn Tigers say not so fast, pencil in her. Auburn almost lost 2 games to Youngstown. That was we had many a computer watching that game at the same time when we were in Arlington. When they threw away that double play ball, I think it was like in the 9th or the 10th. Everyone was like, "No." Continue.
It was wild. I love it. Let's go to a team that did perform super well over the weekend. Virginia, number 20. Again, there was lots of question marks around this. But as far as the team overall and saying how much talent was there, that was not the question mark. The question was, are they going to gel as a team and what are they going to bring in? And Pollard shows us why he's such a tremendous coach and that he's one of the best coaches in the country taking on this program at Virginia. They crushed. They deserve to be here at 20, probably higher at some point in the season if they continue to play like this. I think the big thing is Kyle Johnson, when is he going to be able to pitch again? When is he going to be able to go in there and get weekend starts? We know that they're ramping him back up and he's a little bit behind, but there's where we are. So we're at 20 there with Virginia. Did you guys want to add anything on that one, Will? I saw you nodding your head. Nothing.
Just bully ball.
Yeah, I mean that's what they did, but
punched in a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah,
and
they hit a lot, and we knew that they were going to hit. We knew that was there, but without their Friday night guy, Kyle Johnson, it's kind of going to be interesting to see where they go and see how long it takes him to get back to full strength. If they get him back before midpoint of the ACC season, as far as going 5-6 innings, I think that they feel better about their chances. But again, pitching is going to be an interesting question for them down the road. Clemson, number 19.
Wait, can I add in a fun stat
Virginia.
for Virginia?
Yeah.
69 runs scored over the weekend.
Nice.
I feel like if you have a stat that's phenomenal, you have to share that. So nice.
Yes.
Nice job, Virginia. Yeah.
Another team we'll talk about in the ACC had set some school records for runs as well, and we'll talk about them a little bit further down the lane. I think that Canes Cats Heat might be a little bit excited about that team. But number 19.
Like 30, wait, was it 27, 30? I can't remember what they scored on Sunday.
They scored 27, and they had like 19 people get at bats. It was wild. They had 15 runs in one inning, which set a school record, which is insane when you set one for Miami. But we'll get on them. Clemson at 19. They struggled a little bit against Army there, and they had to battle. The offense is where we had questions, and they didn't really answer many of those questions, Will.
Yeah, I mean, Aiden Mack, I'm not sure if they were keeping him on pitch count. Didn't get real deep into that game, only threw 3 innings, but punched out 6.
Yeah.
I just got to see him take the next step. I mean, he has some of the best stuff that I've seen. Like, when I watch that kid throw, it blows me away. It really does. The stuff is unbelievable. He's got one of the best changeups I've ever seen. But he's got to get deep into games, and he's got to manage a little bit more. I'm sure that was more coaching than anything, I'll be honest, especially this early in the season. Was surprised to see him go 3, but Dylan Harrison looked really good the rest of the way. They only won that game 3-2. Got to give a shout out to Andrew Berg for Army, because holy cow did he shove 6 1/3 innings against Clemson, and of 2-run baseball with only 4 punch outs. I mean, that's just kept him at bay, really. He still gave up 7 hits. I mean, he was averaging over a base runner per inning, and still just managed to only give up the 2 runs. The one guy I was really impressed with this weekend offensively for Clemson, he was a guy I was super high on coming into last year. I thought he kind of underperformed. Luke Gaffney put together a really solid weekend. Jason, who do you think I was going to say there?
Nate Savoy. He hit like 800 over the weekend.
Okay. Well, I want to give Luke Gaffney a shout out.
Okay, apologies.
Before we jump, I'll pass it over to you. But feel like he really struggled at times last year, and he came over. I thought he was going to have a monster year, and he put together a really good weekend for them. So I think you got to be fired up if you're Eric Bakich, and you've got some really good pieces on offense. So I'm staying put on Clemson. I mean, they handled business the rest of the weekend. They shut them out.
They only gave up 2 runs over the weekend.
Yeah,
so that wasn't the issue. It wasn't the issue.
And only one was earned. Like I mean, again, it's Army. Like, this is kind of like your beef up portion of it. But I think that's also why you're a little somewhat concerned. I mean, your team hit 376 as a team. Like that's pretty good. Ty Daly was a little bit of a surprise. Was he the Mercer transfer? Where was he previously? I'm trying to remember what school he was at. I think it was. I can't remember. I know he was one of.
He's a transfer.
He was one of their big portal pickups. He didn't really have a good weekend. Only batted like 167. But yeah, Nate Savoy was another guy who was kind of on my list of potential top players of the week. Didn't have a strikeout in his 3 games. He batted nearly 800, and he had a OBP of effectively 800 as well, because he had 2 walks in addition to his hit. So I don't really know how much I can take from Clemson, to be frank. I think you checked all the boxes, I think, except perhaps maybe like some of those guys you kind of brought in that you were wanting to kind of take the next step or like be that power bat for you. But again, it's no offense to Army, but it was Army. And so you kind of expected that. And so that first game being the 3-2 or whatever the score was, that was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, and you look around and you go, okay, well, we wanted to add home runs, we wanted to add power. Well, they only had 4 over the weekend, and it wasn't really as much as we were kind of hoping that there would be. Because
8 extra base hits. That's it.
So it's not as much as we were hoping, but there's more opportunities to come. Again, they won, they took care of business. We're going to keep them where they are, because that's a good spot for them. Because as long as they keep winning, that's the bottom line. Number 18, Kentucky is the question mark here, guys. We don't know how long or what the status currently is of Tyler Bell. We know that he hurt his non-throwing shoulder. We don't know what the injury is. We're not going to speculate. That's not what we do.
Nope.
They are not a top 25 team without him, probably. They're probably right on the fringe of a top 25 team without him. With him, clearly a top 25 team. Moving forward, Will, I know we talked a little bit about this. Is this something we just have to watch and kind of see what happens over the next few weeks and see if he comes back and can play that role?
Yeah, and I mean, luckily they do play, my opinion, a pretty light schedule for a handful of weeks. You've got Evansville next weekend. You've got a Western Kentucky midweek game who lost their entire team to the portal. This is not Western Kentucky of last year. We saw them kind of get beat up by BYU over the weekend. They've got St. John's in there, and then you've got Eastern Kentucky and the Citadel. I mean, really, they've got time basically until conference play, until March 13th is I guess kind of sit back and see. However, I will say that they do still have Tyler Cerny from Indiana. Like, that kid is unbelievable with the glove.
Ryan Schwartz was good.
And it was very likely that he wasn't going to see a single inning at shortstop this year. Like, I have no concern with them slotting a guy over at shortstop. He actually just notched his 200th career hit. He set Indiana records for doubles in a season. I mean, the kid was unbelievable at Indiana. So if there's a guy I have an unbelievable amount of confidence in, it's him to come in and step. Now, is he a top 5 draft pick like Tyler Bell would be?
No.
No. Probably not. No. But
no, he's not.
But
he's not.
Unbelievably
we can say
talented.
that. We can say that. I mean, we love Cerny. We love him. Great young man. He's going to play the role. Again, it's not Tyler Bell, and I'm right there with you, Will. I think that we just wait and see. There's no reason to make speculations. These are all young men, like, with big futures. We don't do that. We're not in that business. We're not going to go out there and make this risky hot take. That's not our thing. We're going to tell you what we know.
Correct.
What we know is there's an injury to the non-throwing shoulder. We don't know what it is. We don't know how long he's going to be out. We do know it's indefinite current, but we hope the best for that young man. We hope he gets back on the field because he does make a huge difference for the Kentucky team, and they are really good. The pitching was good this weekend. I'm excited to kind of see where they go. So we'll just have to see what happens with Kentucky, but they have a lot of time to get right. 3 weeks here before they really have to worry about ramping up for SEC play. So I think just take a breath. Kentucky fans, be happy with the weekend. Sucks that you lost Tyler for a little bit, but you're fine.
Joking and Cleaver looked really good. So sorry, I just want
to
because like they're going to be good. Like, and you never, again, we don't speculate, but regardless, even if he's out for a couple of weeks or whatever, like, they'll be fine because of what Will said with the schedule, and they have probably the best 1-2 punch in the SEC.
Absolutely. We love them. We think that they're going to be fine. And Coach Migione knows how to win. So it's not like he's banking everything on one guy. He knows that it's a really talented guy, but he doesn't build a whole team around one guy. NC State, number 17 here. Jason, this team really looked good. They impressed me. I have them much higher than 17. I was taken away going, okay, how much did they lose on both sides of the ball? Boy, they showed up, and the starting pitching just really wowed me.
Yeah, so 2 players that they brought in, I thought would kind of pseudo-define potentially their season. The first one is Wiggins, another Indiana transfer. So this guy was basically all world. Everyone thought he was going to be this freak as a freshman. Didn't really do much as a sophomore. He comes in, I think he had a bomb, but he had like a 1,500 OPS for the weekend. If he can produce, that really like takes him to the next level. But the person that really produced was Dalton Bargo.
Yeah,
this is a guy I was talking to some coaches at Arlington, and he was one of those guys that at Tennessee, it just felt like there wasn't a spot, and he was like kind of a platoon type hitter. They didn't really know like where to put him in the field. It just kind of felt like they couldn't never find the right spot for him. And I think he's found a spot at NC State. It felt like a perfect marriage, frankly. And to see him go in there, go 5 for 10. He had only 1 strikeout in the 2 games. They only played 2 games. The third game was canceled. Is that right?
It was canceled. Yeah.
That the rain was absurd this week.
It got worse. Yeah.
So I mean, for me, I look at them up and down, and I didn't know if they had like this like standout player, and now I'm like, okay, no, they've got multiple. Like I think it was kind of like guys that on paper you're like, okay, well, if this 1 to 2 players like kind of turn it on, they could be really dangerous. And I looking over that combined with how much they brought back from a pitching staff, I think this is one of those teams that transparently, if there weren't preseason rankings, I think they'd probably be a little higher because I do think they're a very talented team.
Yeah, Ty Head, Luke Nooks, and like you said, Andrew Wiggins was great, and Wyatt Pfeiffer was good. Like Chris McHugh, really, really good over the weekend. Like this is going to be a very, very good baseball team. And if you're going to get performances like that from Jacob Duden, when he can throw fastballs in the zone now and not get hit and throw them for strikes, look out, because that slider is absolutely a wipeout slider. You can't hit it. He last year threw it for 17 consecutive pitches to get a save. He's on the starting side this year, 5 innings, just the 2 hits, really, really good. And Maherlin, like, really, really good. So the fact that those 2 guys went for them, and they looked as good as they did, it really puts them in that next echelon for me. I think that this is a team you're going to see continue to rise as they play more competition. You guys see what they play against. But I was really taken away by NC State. Texas A&M, will number 16, highest riser probably for us. They really deserve to be at 16, possibly higher. This is a team that their ceiling, like we talked about with Jason, they could be 1. Like, the ceiling could be 1. That's how good this team could be. Pitching is going to have some question marks. We want to see more of it and more consistency, but that offense is tough to match up with as far as across the country here. What else do you want to add to this team that we already talked about a bunch?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to them playing UPenn in a week. I think that'll be a little bit more of a test for them. They've produced some really solid transfers the last handful of years.
White
really
Hensler, right?
Yep, Hensler's a Penn guy, and Ben Miller was a Penn guy.
Miller.
So lots of solid players coming out of that program and transferring into bigger schools. But yeah, I mean, they gave up more runs than I anticipated. They also scored a ton of runs. And this year, we talked about it all offseason about how, the spotlight's not on them. It's year 2 of Michael Early, and you bring back Grahovac, who's not hurt anymore, and Sorrell is healthy. And I mean, this lineup is just absolutely loaded. This feels like a year where it's the old adage of not wrong, just early kind of deal on the Aggies. So thanks. But in 2 weeks, we'll get the real test. They've got Virginia Tech, UCLA, Arizona State. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. How do these teams stack up against the better non-con teams that they're going to see? So the pitching is going to be the tell against those teams. Arizona State's going to mash. UCLA is going to mash. And so and Virginia Tech is kind of known for the hitting. So I'm really curious to see those couple of games. But for now, that offense is legit and well deserving of a big jump.
Yeah. The only thing that really was a flag for me was Sadeo and Moss didn't have good outings.
They weren't great. They weren't as sharp as I was hoping.
But both above 6.5 ERA. I mean, again, I hate ERA. I think it's a shit stat. But I do think, in combination, when you're starting pitchers against not phenomenal competition, don't have great starts. Everyone knows their question right now. Their question is pitching. And so if they don't fix that their ceiling maybe 10, honestly.
Yeah, it's and again, but we do believe that Moss and Sadeo are going to be good. Like, we think that they have the arm talent, they have the ability. So I think that they kind of build on that a little bit, and they kind of take
Sims
over that
looked really good.
So I think that they have that ability. I think that it was just kind of like, okay, it wasn't their best. Let's move on to a team who did play probably their best baseball so far in the Miami Hurricanes at 15. Alex Sosa transfers in from NC State. Crazy that he left NC State, and NC State is still as good as they were. He had 2 home runs. Derek Williams hits 2 home runs. Like, Daniel Cuvée was almost like a side dish for the rest of this lineup. Max Galvin, like, it was wild that you're looking at this team going, Jake Ogden's good. Like, how many guys are they going to put out there that are just going to be superstars on offense? And then they go score 27 on Sunday. They scored 17 on Saturday. They scored 13 on Friday. Like, we knew the offense was going to be good, and I think that the pitching is going to become their own. Will, I'll let you start on this one here again. This it's all offense, and we just love that they are just mashing the ball again.
Yeah, just an impressive weekend. And quite honestly, like, this is what you want to see from teams when they schedule a lesser opponent at home, not on neutral site, at home in your own park. Like, this is what you want to see. Like, you want to see your guys go out there and just beat the brakes off of a team for 3 days and be like, all right, tomorrow's going to be a fun test. Like, those UCF games are always fun. Anytime they play an in-state school out of conference, always a really fun matchup. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Those games got really crazy last year, so tomorrow is going to be really fun.
Had one of the best weekends of anyone.
UCF,
they
Jordan
destroyed
Modi's,
Siena.
Was tremendous at shortstop. Yeah. My Big 12 freshman of the year, Jordan, he looked the part, man. He hit a home run. Right. He played great defense. Like, UCF looked great, and I
think they won every game like 15-0. Like, I want to say it was
they run
all
ruled
teams.
Every game, I believe. Yeah,
it was silly. So if Miami sweeps this series, Like, look out.
Yeah, they got
Look out.
Tuesday against UCF. Then they play Wednesday against Indiana State, another good team there. And then you get Lafayette for a 4-game series before FAU, and then the 3-game set at home against
you.
Florida. That's going to be awesome. Like the 27th, 28th, and 1st. That's going to be tremendous. Cannot wait. But again, we'll get into that closer as we get to that one. But very good for Miami. We love the fact that they're there. When Miami's good at baseball, as I've said for many, many, many years, when Miami's good at baseball, all of college baseball feels better, and I love it. It's tremendous. Coastal Carolina at 14. I think this is going to shock a lot of people. A lot of people have them in their top 10. We still have lots of question marks for this Coastal Carolina team, and the pitching was okay this weekend. Like, it was pretty good. Cam Fluke was okay. Fairfield jumped on him, got a couple home runs. I think he got the no decision in that game as well. But yeah, Jason, like, kind of just okay from Coastal.
So we said this for, I'm trying to remember who we said if we didn't do maybe it was NC State. If we didn't have preseason, then maybe a lot. I think if we didn't have preseason, I would have Coastal a little lower. Offenses the last few years, I guess it appears to be transitioning into 2026 as well. It just hasn't been there, and especially against. And I'm not trying to bash on Fairfield, but against like the quality of like Fairfield. Now I get it. Like, you don't have your head coach there for the first few games. Like, you have to deal with kind of the chaos associated with that. But when you're throwing what most perceive to be a top 5 pitcher in baseball against Fairfield, you're not expecting to be down 2-0 going into the bottom of the 6th.
No,
that's
just
not. That's just not the anticipation.
Yeah.
So there are some games where I think if you look at the box score, you may say, oh, it wasn't that bad. I think this is where the box scores actually look better than the actual product was. And so I think if you're Coastal, you're basically telling yourself like, hey, we checked, we're 3-0. Like, good, we did it. But I think you also are going in there and saying we've got a lot to like build off of this and the tape, so to speak. And, I think you look at Fluke and you see the 7 strikeouts, but 5 hits and 5.2. That's again against Fairfield. Like, I would have expected less. I wouldn't have expected it's still like a 1.1 whip. Like, that's good. That's a good whip. So a 7-1 strikeout to walk ratio, everyone would take that. But again, like, you would almost expected some of the numbers like the Oklahoma pitchers put up against much better competition. So I think nitpicking there, but I think if I was to try to give like a detailed analysis of this for Coastal, I would say you won the weekend, but I think you lost in some variables that you expected to win stronger in.
Yeah, and maybe, if they were up 10-2 at that point, we don't kind of highlight what happened there for Cam Fluke. Like, it's like maybe we just look past it because he gave up a couple solo shots. But the fact that they were losing at that point and he had to come out of the game, like, that made us just go, okay, well, where's the offense going to go? Where are they going to go from here? This is a team that used to bang the ball out of the ballpark. Not that team right now, and it's not been that team.
It wasn't inning 1 too. It was the first inning. So maybe he had jitters, like, hey, I got to live up to this. Maybe he just tried to sneak some fastballs, and they were sitting fastball, and they I can't remember what pitch they hit the runs off of, but he did settle down.
It was fastball, both fastballs.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of takeaways. One, Ben Alexson, very, very good at baseball. How they kept him after the season he put up last year is honestly really impressive and says a lot for that program, because he put up stupid numbers last year and can't believe he didn't transfer. Ross Norman looked very good. He was a guy that we talked about this offseason, like, could make a huge jump. He had a 7 ERA in the Sun Belt last year, but the stuff was always there. It was like, okay, heard some reports from Coastal people that said he looks really, really good. And yeah, he looked really, really good. And my final takeaway is Dean Mijos was probably their best player all weekend.
Dean Mijos was good. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And they talked
good leader for them too.
Yeah, saw some posts from Matt Pepin, their director of analytics, over the offseason about how he got stronger and hitting the ball harder. And it's like, all right, let's see what happens. He's, a table setter, bat the ball guy, and he hit the crap out of the ball all weekend. So I'm excited to see him. He might end up being one of their better power guys this year outside of Barthel.
Yeah.
And it was and I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I felt a little bad for Tyler because I think the combined OBP for both teams was sub 300 for that weekend.
It wasn't the best.
Some quick games because it was a lot of walk to the plate, walk back to the dugout So it was a little. Again, they won the one weekend. That'd probably be the best way for me to put it.
Same as our next team, number 13, Auburn.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it already. They won 2-1. They won 2-1, and then they win 17-2. I think that we all thought that this offense would be just electric, and they've had some ding-ups now. We don't know anything about any of those guys, whether they're going to be out again. We don't speculate. That's not what we do. We will report if we get an official news. But Rimmer missed some time. Like, there were some guys that were dinged up. So, again, we think that overall, when this lineup's healthy, they're one of the best in the SEC. We've all said that. Like, Chris Rembert might have the best hit tool in the entire SEC, and that's with a lot of guys out there. That's a 70 grade hitter right there. But anytime they miss some guys, like, it was kind of surprising at home again to see them stumble with Youngstown State. Will, I know that we just looked at it and going, they won. But
that's the takeaway. Honestly,
yeah.
They're going to have their hands full on Tuesday, man. They've got Cincinnati on Tuesday. Cincinnati just plays that really annoying style of baseball. If you're an opponent, like that's a team you walk away from feeling like you're exhausted after playing them. The way that they play, the way they steal bags, the way they bunt. So they're going to have their hands a little bit full. And if they, Cincinnati's one of those teams we saw in the regional last year when they get up on teams and they feel more comfortable running even a little bit more. They can extend that lead pretty quick and create some chaos. So I'll be curious to see how that midweek goes. I think that's the first real test. And quite honestly, you just walk away from the weekend saying, thank goodness we won 3 at home.
And then they get K-State, who's 4-0. Don't shy away from Kansas State, who's 4-0.
D. Kennedy going really nuts.
The offense has been really good. They get Florida State and then Louisville, who stumbled. I don't expect Louisville to stumble more again, especially on a Sunday where they're going to hit like – that's a tough 4 games that they have coming up with Cincinnati, K-State, Florida State, and Louisville. I'm very interested to see what Auburn does there. We're already moving through time. So we're going to jump on to number 12, Oregon State. Now, I know I watched this team a lot. Jason, the pitching was okay, and it kind of kept them in games. But really, there was some big let-ups. I mean, Dax was pretty good. Ethan was pretty good for the most part, giving up the 1 earned run. But they weren't as sharp as I think a lot of people thought that they would be. The offense was still a question mark, and it still is today.
Yeah, one guy I wanted to point out that I was really excited to see him have a good week was Jacob Galloway. So this guy was a big transfer out of USC when he went to Texas A&M last year, and he kind of just lost out to Bear Harrison in that catcher spot at Texas A&M. But I the number of coaches that reached out to me about this guy 2 cycles ago now was pretty substantial. So I thought that was a great pickup for Oregon State. That was maybe what you call kind of diamond in the rough, just because most people only look at kind of like that last year. But a couple of years ago, he was one of the hottest catchers out of the portal. So really, really great to see him come on there. I 3-1 and the 1 loss, surprise. So for me, if I were to try to take away something from this, it would probably be Dax. I mean, again, like he had a bad game. I mean, he only had 5 hits over 5 innings. I mean, he still had greater than a strikeout per inning at 6 Ks, sub 300 allowed batting average. So it's not. I think it's just like it was almost this like he's human kind of thing. And so maybe it would have just been a similar thing with Fluky, like maybe just those first game jitters, so to speak.
2 guys I wanted to point out. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, Jason. I'm with you. Dax, good game. Right. But I think that people just expect it to be this ridiculous level for the sophomore, and he will get there. I think that these guys are fine. Again, Ethan Kleinschmidt, really good game against the Arizona lineup. That's really, really good. They pulled him. The bullpen struggled a little bit. The bullpen struggled in that first game against Michigan also. And I think that that's more what they're going to address here is some of those guys getting some innings. I think it's good for them to have these struggles early so they find out. But 2 guys on offense I wanted to highlight. Easton Talt, and I had him in for an interview, and we'll be playing that interview probably this week. Tremendous young man, huge leader for them. He was massive for them over the weekend. And Bryce Hubbard, another transfer catcher that they got from Mississippi State, who really never had an opportunity to play at Mississippi State. They got him in. He hits the walk-off home run today for them. But I think Bryce Hubbard is going to play a big part for them. So they have 2 catchers that are going to have to hit in that lineup. Galloway's a really good defensive catcher, so they're going to keep him behind the dish. Bryce Hubbard, tremendous DH for them. So I think there's some questions on offense, and we talked about it. I think some of the guys that we thought might be stepping up in those roles haven't really done so yet through 4 games, but there's going to be more opportunities for this offense. But I think the pitching is fine. The pitching's there. I think we're all bullish on how good the bullpen and the rest of that staff could be. So
I just don't think I would have predicted +1 run differential in those
Yeah.
4 games for them.
No, no.
So I mean, they went 3-1, but every game was close, and so they could have easily gone 4-0. They could have easily gone like 1-3. So it was an underwhelming weekend for me for Oregon State.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
Mark.
No, I was with you. I said it from the whole weekend. I said the offense is going to be put front and center,
Yeah.
and people are going to have question marks, and they definitely didn't answer any of those question marks for us. So lots more ball to play. They got another postseason tournament this weekend coming up. So excited to see them against one of our top 25 teams in Southern Miss. Number 11, Tennessee, Henry Ford. I mean, wow, and Coons and what they have as a staff looked good. They looked solid. Will
Blaine Brown.
Blaine Brown, that's exactly what I was going to say. Blaine Brown, 3 home runs. The rotation with Blanco, Coons, and Mack combined for 26 strikeouts. Just unbelievable. And to see those guys take that big step in development, I think is really exciting. We got to see 2 innings out of Cam Appenzeller. I think that's going to be a good. I think that's a really good sign. I mean, again, they handled business against a team that they should have handled business against. But for him to go, for him to be able to work into games early and say we're going to work this kid up until we have to go play UCLA in 2 weeks, I think that's really, really good sign for this pitching staff. And he looked really sharp. 4 strikeouts in 2 innings and didn't allow a hit. So what else do you need, right? I mean,
and Landon Mack stepping in and being the dude they thought that he could be with that arm talent, and Coons stepping in, wow, it was really telling to see how good that pitching staff actually was this weekend. Now, are they going to continue? I don't know. We'll see.
Blaine Brown is pitching. Blaine Brown's pitching, I think, in the midweek.
Going through the midweek?
Yeah. So he was a 2-way guy. So hits 3 bombs on the weekend, and then he pitches in the midweek. So fun times ahead.
Tuesday, I love it.
I love it. So that's our top. That's 11 through 25. We're going to move on to our top 10 teams here. A lot of these 10 teams, they were already there. I don't think we moved much out of the top 10. I don't think we moved anything really around. I think the only team that dropped out of our top 10 was Oregon State for a reason, because, again, they didn't look tremendous this weekend. Not saying that they couldn't be in that top 10 conversation again, but right now that's where we have them. Number 10, University of North Carolina. I think that the question marks for the offensive, those new weapons they brought in, they were answered. Schaffner was good. They just played the part. Those guys were really good. The pitching staff is, oh my God. You're telling me they got Folger Boaz and DeCaro, wow. You're just going to go out there and throw 3-4 Friday night guys every single weekend. So for me, the questions that we had were the offense, and those offensive weapons came through and actually played pretty good baseball. So I am less concerned about North Carolina than I was during the preseason. Jason, anything you want to throw in there?
Only thing is they should have been 2-1. So for anyone who didn't see, it was 2-4 in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs, and there was a dribbler to second, and unfortunately, just a case of the yips, quite literally definition of the yips. The second baseman threw the ball about 5 feet in front of him on the ground. The first baseman literally didn't move. He almost didn't know what to do. It's he thought maybe it's in basketball, when someone calls a timeout and everyone's just kind of looking around for the ref. It's kind of what it looked like for a second, because I don't think people knew how to react. So they looked really good game 2. Indiana has some question marks, but Indiana played with them for the Friday and the Sunday. They should have beat them on Sunday. And that was in Chapel Hill. So for me, I don't think they looked like a top 10 team, frankly, this weekend. But they won every game. So I think at the beginning of the year, it's just, did you win every game? And the answer to this question is yes, because a lot of these coaches are trying to figure out who's going to be, their big players come May and June. So, you play around with lineups, you play around with rotations. They won every single game. So that's all you can hope for.
Yeah, and some of these teams, it's who they played too, right? Because we're going, okay, Indiana is better than a lot of these teams.
Oh, for sure. They've got talent.
SEC teams. So it's okay, we can give them that. They didn't look great in the one game, but the pitching staff, who we all thought was going to be good, was good. And that was the highlight for me.
Yeah. I would keep them in the top 10. It's just they didn't look like it. Is what I would say that weekend.
Yeah. And I think if Oregon State doesn't drop out, if Oregon State goes 4-0 and looks like the part, maybe UNC is the team that's at 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Tennessee could have easily jumped into the top 10 also, but again, they didn't play much competition, so it's like, where do you weigh that? But again,
Oh yeah, for sure.
it's early, so
3-game sweep against a power conference. I mean, I know it's the Big Ten, but it's a power conference.
Yeah.
So this would have been a big weekend for UCLA. That'd be a way to put it.
Yeah, facts. Number 9, Arkansas. Jason, you were there. This team had some ups and downs now, 1 and 2, but for me, I had my big questions were on the offensive side, and they were a little bit answered. They had some good pieces on offense. I think the offense was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought the pitching kind of let me down a little bit, but Arkansas is at number 9 here. Jason, I'll let you speak on them a little bit.
So sometimes I'm seen as too critical, and sometimes I maybe like the actually guy. I would have had it completely the opposite. I thought their pitching was better than anticipated.
Okay.
Now, Dietz struggled, but frankly, like he doubled his innings pitched for his career on Saturday. And not only that, but he was going up against a top 5 offense that was geeked up to play him. And it was a really good zone. Like the fans there hated the zone, but it was just a good zone. And sometimes in college, that's harder for the pitchers because they like getting that, 3 to 4 inches off the edge. He wasn't getting that. Like it was a good zone. And because of that, I think he started 2-0 every single pitch, like the first 5 batters. It was rough. Like that's why I think it was 2-0 in the first, because the score was 2-0, not 2 balls. The score was 2-0 because he was getting behind every single hitter. And then he just had to lean fastball. And when you lean fastball, even if it's a good fastball, good hitters are going to hit you. And so, I mean, for me, Gackel pitched well. Fisher, who pitched Sunday, pitched phenomenally. They had trying to remember who the Vanderbilt transfer, McIlvain came and pitched today. So they actually had a weird schedule. They played today as well against Tarleton State. That was a struggle. They won 3-1. And they scored 3 in the first, and 1 was off of like a bunt single. Like it was a swinging bunt. For me, I mean, they loaded the bases twice I'm going to try not to keep this too long because I know we'll get too long. They loaded the bases twice versus TCU, and they scored run. They struck out a lot. There were some loud innings for them for sure, game 1, but then it's like someone turned the music off. Because after that, it was basically just a bunch of strikeouts and not a much more. Ruiz, I think he had 13 straight at bats where he got on base. That was pretty awesome. So like they had some highlights, but then they also had some lowlights. Not sure what's going on with Aloy Cahillo. He has some tightness in his, I think it was his hamstring. So they basically said, hey, you could DH, but they don't want to mess with that. So they threw Stewart out there, the Missouri State transfer, for a little bit. He didn't perform. So, I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces. But if I were to come out of it, I'm a little worried about the offense, frankly. I think it's pretty top heavy right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But for me, I have some serious concerns for Arkansas because if they can't figure out the starting pitch, because Fisher's been really good as kind of like that Sunday out of the pen guy, but it's hard when you're throwing 90-91 with, some slider once you start to get into SEC play, because then he was getting mashed in SEC play. So for me, I have questions for them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that they're a good team. I think that they're not a top 5 team in my book. I think I have them at 21 this week, which might be
I would have them 15 to 20. If I were to guess.
It felt like a good spot to have them, honestly, because of the way they performed. But I get it. They also played really good competition. So it's not like you just throw them out there and say, they didn't play good teams this weekend. But I don't know.
They lost by 1 run to TCU, who's really freaking good.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm fine with them being here in the top 10. I think that's a fine pick. So
agreed.
Number 8, Georgia. Now, they did lose 1 game, but it's hard to win doubleheaders, so I give them the tip of the cap to that. And they had some really good performers, some really good, talented guys. Another 2-way guy, Ishikawa comes in, he throws pitches to starts the game. He's tremendous on offense. Wes Johnson says he's the best athlete he's ever had at any level, which is just huge praise. Will, Georgia at 8 feels okay, even though they did get the loss to Wright State in 1 game?
Yeah, and I will be honest, if we didn't preseason rank them as high as we did, I don't know that they're in the top 10. Like I
Yeah.
believe
Really?
we preseason ranked I believe we preseason ranked them at 4.
Yeah. They dropped a little bit.
That's surprising.
I would probably have them. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. Again, yes, it's a doubleheader. If you asked me prior to this series if they had a chance to lose a game this weekend, I would have said 100% yes.
Yeah.
And when they
Wright
hit
State's a
Cam
good team.
Allen,
Wright
and when
State's
they
good.
got Cam Allen out of the game the way they did on day one,
Mhm.
I would have said, all right, they're going to steamroll. Like this series is over. So for them to lose on the last game, is a little bit weird. But again, doubleheader. Maybe a fringe top 10 team for me. Volchko was not as dominant as I kind of thought he was going to be, but
He was
a
good,
guy
though.
he was very solid. All the pitching was really solid for a
Yep.
team that competed really well at a regional last year and returns a lot of those pieces. The guy that I really want to highlight, Kei Naoki, came out of the bullpen and he was just unbelievable. 8 strikeouts in 3 innings, no
Yeah.
walks. I mean, if he's going to be a long relief bullpen, that kind of role for them, like holy cow! I mean, I was surprised to actually see the velo kind of sit exactly where it was last year. I kind of anticipated with Wes Johnson, we might see a little velo increase, but he was, again, 90, 92, and the stuff was just unreal. And I think he's just
Yeah.
going to do that all SEC season. Does he work into the rotation? I don't think so, based on what I saw out of Volchko, Scott, and Ishikawa. Like, I don't really see Aoki sliding in there unless it's matchup based. But man, he looked really, really sharp. And on offense, I was really happy to see Rylan Lujo get an at bat or get the start in game 2. He hits a home run in his first at bat as a Bulldog, which was really exciting to see because he didn't get a start in game 1, which I was surprised with the year he put up at Dayton last year. He was unbelievable for them. Trey Phelps hit 2 home runs over the weekend. I mean, he had the running joke in the offseason, but he had the down year last year with a 950 OPS. So to see him get back on track with 2 bombs on opening weekend, always a good sign. And yeah, I mean, I thought they were impressive. I did. I thought the pitching was really solid, and all things considered. But again, when we've knocked teams all weekend for losing 1 game on their home turf against teams that they are just more talented than. So I feel like it's fair to pick Georgia off here and kind of bump them a couple spots.
Yeah. And they had the Big Ten pitcher of the year last year, like Dylan Vague. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think he was their
Vague.
third starter.
Yeah.
So I mean, they had Aoki and Scott coming out of the bullpen. So I mean, I think
if that's what's going to happen.
They have 5 pitchers that could legitimately be Friday, Saturday night guys, 90% of college baseball, and then you throw out they have ridiculous power. I think this is just Murray State's good. Like I said Murray State. Who did they play?
Wright
State. Wright State was a tournament team last year that won a game in original.
They're good. Like Noah, the guy I was sitting next, Noah Beanick at 11-7, the guy I was sitting next to basically the entirety of the Arlington, he picked them as a money line favorite, like because it just felt like that they may try to take one. Now he didn't get that one because
we thought it was. I think a lot of us thought maybe Friday was going to be the day.
Yeah, with Cam Allen on the bump, it felt like that was going to be the day they were going to get him.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't surprise me, especially like again, like when you're first weekend and you're trying to pitch. I think they pitched like 12 guys. If you're playing a doubleheader, you're throwing up a lot of arms that frankly you may not see on a weekend series. Like, nothing against Caleb Jameson. It's like, are we going to see him, Sunday against Kentucky? Games? Yeah, exactly. So like when he comes in and, I mean, he only faces like, I think a couple of guys. It's just one of the things. It's like, you were trying to see, you're throwing a guy into the fire. And I think this is kind of Wes Johnson basically saying like, yeah, we may lose this game, but I want to see what I have.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm good with that early. Like losses early are not going to kill you, especially when you're in an SEC conference because you're going to be playing such good competition. Your RPI is not going to drop. It's not going to kill you. And to be fair, Trey Phelps was about 1 foot away from tying that ball game. There was a fly
and then they had a last out at third.
That
was like
1 foot away from being a tie ball game and probably turning towards Georgia's favor. So I like
every middle school coach was crying tears when the last out was at third.
Don't make the last out at third. Yeah. You don't want to make any out at third. Let's be honest. I said that rule when I was coaching. It's like we don't want to make outs at third base. That's just bad baseball. But it happens. Unfortunately, aggressive guys trying to make a good run. It happens.
Yep.
Our number 7 team, Florida State. Florida State Seminole looked good, and they didn't even get one of their top pitchers to pitch because he was out sick in Trey Beard, and they still looked really, really good. Will, Miles Bailey, and then the rest of that offense, Braden Dowd, USC transfer, was really good this weekend. Like, I think if you're a Florida State fan, the hype train has just really started piping.
Yeah, I thought Wes Mendez looked really, really solid on Friday. They didn't beat them in the fashion that I thought they would. But then you get the 10-run rule on Saturday and you get canceled on Sunday. So, again, another team that just handled business, and I think there's always something to be said for that, especially in the sport of college baseball. How many teams have we talked about tonight that dropped a game to a team that they're just simply better than? It's a lot of them, right? Like, it really is an any given day type of sport. So when a team goes out there and just handles business, I think there's something to be said for it. And that's what Florida State did this weekend. And yeah, we didn't get to see Trey Beard. So really excited to see him throw for them.
Yeah, and I thought Cal Fisher was another guy who just really stepped up for Florida State and was really, really good. I think that they just have so many offensive weapons that it's going to be hard to keep this team down. And again, they didn't have Beard, who's going to be probably one of their best guys. Mendez, I like him going on Friday. I think that Link Jarrett just goes, hey, he pitched a lot of innings for us last year. He deserves that Friday night role. We're going to roll with him. But you're telling me that he gets every other ACC team on Saturdays now and Trey Beard? That's tough. That's a real tough matchup when you look at ACC across the board. And I think it's a good move by Link Jarrett to say, hey, we might be the best Saturday team in the conference now by throwing Trey Beard on those Saturdays. So we'll see if that continues, but I think that's a good step for them. My preseason pick for national champion, they have never won one. I know. Surprising fact that Florida State's been there second most times to Texas, and they have never won a national championship. So moving on to our number 6 team.
Before hop in, 2 seconds. We had a long discussion in the booth about Sheffield because I did not realize how many children that Gary Sheffield had that play major college. I was like, no, he plays for Georgetown. He's like, no, he plays for Florida State. No, Georgetown, Florida State. And then someone looked at us and goes, they're both his kids. Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, we were having a fun discussion. He went 4 for 4. So shout out to the Sheffields for producing good baseball kids.
Well, let's go. I love good
baseball. Yeah.
And more families in baseball.
It was a really funny discussion because we were looking at Micah New and people were like, what? Well, that's a weird like batting. Like, he's like shaking the bat. And I was like, it's kind of like almost like a Gary Sheffield look. And they were like, oh, Sheffield, like, Georgetown. And I was like, no, sorry, continue. But it was a funny aside.
I love it. TCU, number 6. Now, had they gone out and beat Oklahoma in that third game, they might be one of our top 3 teams. Very, very good. I think that they deserve to be here. They're, one of those teams that we're going to look back and say that Oklahoma loss was something, but the rest of the weekend they were so good, and the talent is there. Yeah. Lucas Franco could have won Freshman of the Week if it wasn't for Miles Upchurch, I believe. Also, another tremendous performance over the weekend. Will, you can take it away. I know you love your TCU one for us.
I do. Very impressed on Friday and Saturday. And again, that Sunday game, it happens so much in college baseball. It really does.
Yeah.
A really big emotional win. You got to turn around and you still have to play a really talented team on Sunday, and it's easy to get got. And I mean, they were all over them, right? We talked about it already. Oklahoma was all over them from the jump, and that's tough to recover when you can't really ever gain your footing in a game where you might be a little bit down from coming off such an emotional game against Arkansas. But I thought they looked spectacular against Arkansas. Chase Brunson, and I know, the duo of Strauss-Snyder and Franco over the weekend was unreal at the plate. Franco looks every bit of a legit D1 shortstop at the field and at the plate. Chase Brunson was unbelievable this weekend. The 1.155 OPS with 3 RBI. I mean, I thought he was spectacular at the plate. The big surprise for me at the plate was Noah Franco, hitless in the weekend, 6 strikeouts. He just didn't look comfortable. A lot of chase.
Overswinging. He should have had a home run. I will say he should have had a home run versus Vandy. He hit one like 405. He just hit it to the deepest part of any other stadium. That thing is, in a pond. So he should have. And I think he had a laser to left field as well. Mm-hmm. So he had a ton of strikeouts, but he had 2 really good barrels. And the interesting thing was his last barrel was actually as he was pitching. I was sitting there talking with the frog preacher guy. Why am I forgetting his name? They're right beside. Yeah, Jamie Plunkett. Thank you. And we were like, oh, he's pitching. Maybe that'll like slow him down a little bit. And he lasered one to left field. So I really feel like it was interesting. His pitching almost seemed to calm him down. And he got the Big 12 pitcher of the week, which for me was a little surprising. But it was a hell of a
He was
couple innings for
unreal
him.
in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
it
you're
was
gonna get
awesome.
that, and he was one of the guys that was like, when we talked about TCU in the preseason, it was if you get anything out of Noah Franco on the mound, it's a win, right? It was like, I don't know what he's going to be on the mound. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Didn't throw a ton of innings last year. Seems like he's going to be a pretty big piece of the bullpen. So you got to be fired up from what you saw in weekend one. Thought Tanner Segespi looked really sharp. He was a big time transfer coming over, an unbelievable closer. Gave up just the one earned run over 2 innings. He's going to be an anchor in the back end of that bullpen. I thought Tommy Laporte looked sharp for the most part. And again, when you get the solo home runs hit off you, it's like, all right, that guy beat me on that pitch. And I thought it was interesting. I believe 2 of the home runs he gave up were on cutters, which I believe is a new pitch to the Arsenal this season.
We were trying to figure out what he was throwing. He was sitting like 95 to 97, and then he was sporadically throwing like a 90 to 91 in there. And we were looking at the TrackMan numbers, and it was like it's got a little bit of like glove side run, so it's like I guess it's a cutter. That's basically all we could say. It was like cutter,
cutter,
and it got hit hard. I wonder how long that's going to stick. He didn't throw that last year. He was just the true 4 pitches last year. I heard in the offseason he was working on that, so I'll be curious to see where that goes because that was really the only thing that got hit from him, and unfortunately they all just happened to leave the yard. That's just the nature of what it was. And I thought Brassfield looked really sharp on Saturday. He was a guy that was a true freshman last year, threw some quality innings, some really meaningful innings for them, jumping into that Saturday role. I think he's going to stick there. The slider was sharp. He was up to 96, which was surprising. I mean, the velo bump is huge for them. And man, I was impressed overall. I thought it was a really, really solid weekend. Obviously, you get the sour taste in your mouth getting home 10 run on getaway day, but I'm still all in on the Frogs. I think it was a very successful weekend. If you walk away from that weekend looking at the 3 teams they play and you say you went 2-1 this weekend, I think everybody would say, yeah, that's, a really quality weekend for this team. Now the 10 run kind of stinks, but a good win over Arkansas.
Yeah. Counterpoint, I would just say if Arkansas comes back to win that and they're 1-2, and now we're dealing in hypotheticals, you then look at a team that as a group batted 169. And you had one of the guys in Baumler that you basically thought would be kind of one of your weekend pitchers who really struggled. So it's kind of, I do think they have some questions. I think they're really good, and I think they look super talented. I think they were the best team there. But I was really surprised to see Traeger. I think he went hitless. Franco went hitless. Like they had some guys who just did not show up at the plate. And again, it's a big field. Like there were definitely some balls that would not like younger Franco, Lucas Franco, would have had another home run as well in any other field. So there's definitely some where you're like, oh, that's just Arlington. That's just
big fields, big lights early in the season. Like there's a lot of things you could point out for
team OPS was 599.
Yeah, it wasn't sharp.
No, I mean again, like super talented, but good enough for 2-1.
Let's jump to our number 5 team, who again good enough against Hofstra. Mississippi State. Listen, fellas, they had 3 hits on offense on Friday night and won that game. They ended up only having 21 over the weekend, and the pitching was good, not great. Thomas Valencius was great. He was pretty good over the weekend. 5 1/3 and 4 hits, no runs, like 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. So that makes you feel good from making those adjustments from last year where the walks were an issue for him. And if he's going to be your Sunday guy in eventuality, you feel pretty good about that. Or if he steps into the Saturday role. But overall, just kind of an underwhelming Mississippi State team for me. I just was I expected them to do something in one of those 3 games or all 3 of those games. And Ace Reese was good, but again, the rest of the pieces were that it just kind of didn't feel like the big homecoming we wanted to see from Starkville and have Mississippi State come out and blow the doors off of everybody and say they're number 1 team. That just didn't really happen this weekend, did it, Jason?
No, this was the most disappointing weekend. It's crazy to say they went 3-0.
They went 3-0.
You look at Mississippi State's kind of weekends series like this last year. They destroyed teams. Mississippi State was kind of a weird team. Like they destroyed some non-con, and then they had some kind of like stinkers like in Houston where it was like what is this team? Like no one could really like get it, and then they started off struggling in the SEC play, but they destroyed teams in the non-con. So when I thought of that, and I was like, okay, you're adding an Aiden Teal, you're bringing back, Ace Reese, you're bringing back Noah Sullivan, Greg Free, like all of these guys, it's like they're going to destroy Hofstra in 3 hits on Friday.
3 hits
Like
on
that,
Friday.
that
They
blew my
won.
mind.
They had 3
Like
hits.
it blew my mind. And I mean, part of me again, like I thought this team was a top 3 team in the country, and they still probably are. Like again, they won every single weekend, but I was expecting a lot from them. And maybe again, like it's a new coach, it's first game, like everyone's got a little bit of jitters, and that's a phenomenal fan base. So many superlatives to be thrown around for that program. But I remember looking and like watching some of those games, and just like as other games were going on, I had like 4 or 5 games up at the same time, and just being like, almost like sitting on the edge of my seat, like waiting for something to happen, and then just like keep going farther and farther back into my seat because it just felt like nothing ever happened. So I was super surprised by this team. Again, Valencius Tomas was phenomenal. They had a pretty good, they tons of strikeouts, 36 Ks in 27 innings. So again, great. But 11 earned runs against Hofstra is a bit surprising. Like a 4 ERA as a team is a bit surprising. Again, when you have that much talent. Now again, it's the beginning. You're going to pitch 12 guys. Like you're going to get some runs here and there. But that for me, that would just be summarized. Mississippi State was, you won, you did great,
You won.
but we expected more.
Yeah, and especially with that home opener, like in Starkville, right? Like Will, like I mean, they had 10,000 for a fall game.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it, the 2 teams that built really heavily out of the portal this year in the SEC were Mississippi State and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I came away from the weekend saying Georgia is a hell of a lot more talented right now, or it looks a lot better right now, despite going 2-1. Like I thought the flashes of Georgia, the ceiling flashes of Georgia were unbelievable over the weekend, and we just didn't see any of it over Mississippi State. It was just kind of like, like that was a fine. I mean, you took care of business. There's always something to be said for that. You won 3 games. It's what you're supposed to do. At the end of the day, it's wins and losses column. It's not how big you outscore teams. So, 3-1 or 3-0 is still a successful weekend, no matter how you cut it. But I thought the flashes Georgia showed were a lot higher than what Mississippi State showed, which was surprising because as a group, I think we were all unbelievably high on Mississippi State coming into the season with Brian O'Connor at the helm.
And Oak's not really like that flashy coach, though, right? Like that. I mean, that's kind of his style to go out there and just figure out ways to win games. And maybe they're just not what we thought they would be offensively. Now there's a lot of time. It's early. Don't panic again. Don't hit the panic button. But
another doubleheader. Like sometimes doubleheaders are just weird.
It's just hard. It's just hard to play 2 games in a day. And I mean, you just got to get up for them. And it's not
because like if you're struggling, it's like it's gonna be hard to like get the mentally back into it, like in and out. Yeah. So like if you had a rough 3 ABs, even though you had a banana in between games, it doesn't mean like you're mentally ready to go for another one. I do think Troy is a potential catch game for them because Troy struggled.
Struggling over Michigan.
Troy struggled. They're gonna want to show that they're legit. Now it is in Starkville, but again, they're still in the what do we have mode. Troy needs to be in the win this game mode. So I think you're gonna have 2 different like styles. I think Oak could be who's going to be my midweek guy, who's going to be my freshman to come in and like really make some noise. And Troy is going to be like, how do we win this game? All right. So I think you're going to have 2 different mentalities.
Yeah. We're going to move on to our number 4 team in Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, very good baseball team. I think that we took away the weekend. We go, if you told me that Drew Burst would have 3 of their 51 hits and that we would be saying that this team, the rest of the supporting cast was that good, I think you're got to be worried if you're anybody in the ACC right now or anybody in the country. If Drew Burris, who could win Golden Spikes, could be a top 5 draft pick, gets 3 hits and the rest of the team puts up 48, that's a huge supporting cast that hasn't been there as much. If they stay healthy, this offense is for real. The pitching was okay, and I think that we kind of expected them to have some bumps and bruises this year. Different kind of weekend rotation. Cooper Underwood, the freshman, going to be going on Sundays for them. I think we're just going to see some growing pains, but when you have that kind of offense, you can have some growing pains. When your 7, 8, 9 guys hit almost 400 for the weekend, you're going to feel pretty good about going into any ball game. And I think that's kind of the feeling I have for Georgia Tech. I don't know how you guys felt. Will, how do you feel about this Georgia Tech?
It was really impressive. I mean, they had two guys with like significant at bats over the weekend that hit under 400, not under 300, under 400, and one of them was Drew Burress. Just like,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous how you threw it up.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like he had 3 of their 51 hits, and you're like, oh, who's that? Oh, he's the best player on the team, maybe the best player in the country. That's wild. And the other guys put up 48 hits. Like, geez.
The not so big surprise, the team over 1.2 OPS was just ridiculous. I mean, that's just absurd. What was more surprising is they only hit 3 home runs over the weekend. I mean, I think this
my 150
I'm gonna say,
home runs is like getting in that 3 to start didn't feel great from 150 number I got to get to.
This one, I think Bowling Green walked everyone, including the people in the stands, for this series.
They drew 31 walks this weekend. It was
and 11 walks and 51 hits.
So funny story, and I know I keep going on sides, but it was 2-0 Bowling Green in like the 4th. And I sent a message to the guys that said, like, someone, call him Monty, see if he's okay. And I looked away for a second to watch the games in Arlington. I turned around, it was like 15-2. And I was like, oh, they must hit 100 bombs. And I just started looking over the play-by-play. It was like walk, 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 single, walk, 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 double. And it was just like, holy cow. No wonder the team, like, OPS was so crazy because no one got out. And like if you weren't swinging, like you were getting on base. It felt like
600 on base over the weekend. One guy that I was really impressed with, he only got 1 inning, but a guy that I talked about a little bit this offseason, I think is going to be a big piece of their bullpen is Caden Spivey. Just the 1 inning, but struck out 3. I thought he looked really sharp. I thought his stuff this fall looked really sharp. So I'm excited to see him. I think he's just going to be a bullpen guy and a good one at that. But yeah, just an impressive weekend. Again, it makes your life a lot easier when you're given 42 free bags over the course of 3 games. For those not great at
Patel
quick
struggled
math,
a
that's
little
like
bit.
12. Yeah, he did.
And I think Patel's going to kind of find his way on weekends, like we said. I think that there's just some new rules for these guys.
Was this his first start? I know he was out of the pen. Yeah, so I was about to say, I know this was his first start. So bumps and bruises.
Yep.
But
I think
for this one, I think
pretty...
this wasn't like a Virginia where they score 69. You're like, holy cow, this one was you scored 50, but I think 3/5 of them were put on via walk.
Yeah, and they don't really have a tough schedule until they play Virginia Tech in the ACC. Yeah. Like the rest of those, like Stony Brook doesn't move the needle for me. Georgia Southern, as much as I love them, they don't move it. Like Georgia State, like they're just not any like superior.
Definitely deserved of where they're at, though. Definitely deserved.
Yeah, top 5 team for sure. We'll see how they continue to progress. Number 3, Texas Longhorns, and there was a lot of conversations about that this team could be ranked in number 1. I mean, the way that they have this pitching staff set up, the way that this offense is kind of rolling, I think we'd like to see more from the offensive side, but the pitching staff was really, really good. Again, UC Davis, not necessarily a powerhouse of baseball. They're good. They're not a powerhouse of baseball, but it was exciting to go out there and see what the Longhorns had brought back and how they were still super successful on the mound. For me, I took away and I just go, I'm happy to see that this pitching staff is kind of picking up right where they left off and moving Valencius into the weekend rotation. He didn't miss a beat. He looked really good. So I think that this is just huge steps and huge signs for Texas baseball. Jason, I don't know how much of the games you got to catch since you were down in Arlington, but man, it looked pretty good. And Aiden Robbins, he looked the part also.
Yeah, Aiden Robbins is ridiculous. That's probably my biggest takeaway from Texas. I wouldn't hot take. I think they're overrated. I do think it was kind of wild for me. Carson Tenney, I think he didn't. I think he had 1 hit over the weekend. I again, it's 1 weekend. Like, who cares? Adrian Rodriguez looked really good, but again,
Anthony Pack Jr. looked really good too.
Yeah, it's just kind of. When I think of a top 5 team against UC Davis, and no offense to UC Davis, like I don't know. They run ruled. They won 9-1 and 6-4. Like, again, like everything checks the box. But every time I was watching the game, it just kind of felt like kind of going through the motions, and then you'd have like kind of super crooked innings. Like they would assert themselves. So I don't know what to think of this Texas team, frankly. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see Carson City kind of stumble out the gate. I thought maybe this is like a team that he goes out there and just smashes against and shows why he was
Yep.
probably the number one catcher in the transfer portal. But to me, all three starting pitchers go out there and get a win, and that's something that doesn't necessarily happen on opening weekend a lot
And they
because
look
usually they
good.
don't throw enough innings. So when you're doing that,
Volantis
they're
was
the
great this weekend.
and they're the returning, SEC regular season champs. And you're just going to say, okay, we're just going to keep going with the same guys we had. Max Grubbs, Thomas Burns is going to be out there closing. Like Max Grubbs coming in relief. Like
Yep.
Dylan Volantis looks the part of a starter. Like I think that they got to be excited about what they have. Luke Harrison looked like he was tremendous on Saturday.
Another good portal pickup. Yep.
Riojas, another like really good Friday night for him. And if he's just going to be that stable mustache that they kind of just ride all the way into the playoffs, like I love it. I think that this team, the pitching staff for me is what's there. I think Carson Tinney's going to have some good skills. I think he's going to step up. I think he's going to be tremendous. But eventually, I think that we're going to look back and say that this Texas team is the top 5 team. But I get what you're saying, Jason, and the fact of it's UC Davis and they didn't really blow him out of the water. Now the starting pitching was good. Bullpen's going to need some work, but again, you're throwing a lot of guys early. But the fact that they did go 3-0 with 3 starting pitchers all getting the wins is impressive to me.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely didn't deserve to go down, but it is what it is. Lamar will be a good test for them
Lamar's
tomorrow.
great.
So
Yep.
Lamar kicked their ass in Austin. Now again, it was the fall, and it was everyone pitches an inning, but Lamar handled them in that game.
It'll be maybe some firepower back. Maybe Texas bounces back and says, we remember that.
Yeah. I mean, because I think it was like 8-0 going into like the 11th or so. I can't remember what it was, and they didn't hit any barrels against Lamar. Now, like again, will this be similar like Troy, where they're like, hey, we need to win this because Lamar out of the Southland, it's basically if you don't win the conference, it's like, are you gonna be in the tournament? And the answer is generally no. So they're going to try to make their resume as good as humanly possible, whereas Texas is probably thinking who's going to be our midweek starters. So really a strong test for Texas right off the gate. And, this would be another one if I'd be watching tomorrow at 5.
Yeah, there's some great games here coming up in the midweek, Tuesday and Wednesday this week. Cannot wait. We had some today already on Monday as some of these teams were leaving tournaments. Love it, man. Just love this. Top 2 teams left. We had a flip. UCLA jumps to number 2. LSU is going to be number 1. We'll talk about UCLA first. They dropped a game against UC San Diego at home. Again, we don't love it when these teams lose these home games against teams that they probably should beat. UC San Diego is a good team, but shouldn't compete with what UCLA has and what they are. And it kind of was some stumbles by both sides. Pitching wasn't terrific. Hitting wasn't necessarily on fire over for the weekend either. Will, I know we just pumped them up all offseason. They're still really good. People pump the brakes, but again, they didn't look as sharp as we probably hoped that they would at home against UC San Diego.
Yeah, again, beat the drum. UCSB is a very good program, right? And I remember last year something similar happened with Arizona playing USD really early, and everybody was like, this Arizona team is not good. They're struggling with USD because USD started the season like 0-10 after scheduling the most difficult non-conference to open their season. It was like, that's a really bad series loss for them, or whatever, the split series that everyone was all up in arms about it. That team ended up going to a regional, and so these programs are really good. Again, this UCLA team, for what they bring back, it was underwhelming for what they did. I thought Peyton Brennan was really solid this weekend. I thought he was arguably their best hitter this weekend. I thought he put together a fantastic weekend. I thought Ian May was great out of the bullpen. Logan Redmond got hit around a little bit, but 6 strikeouts over 5 innings was pretty solid. I thought Michael Barnett looked really sharp. He's not a big strikeout guy. He's not going to go out there and strike out the world. But he did his job, and he only allowed 2 hits over 5 innings. I thought he put together a really good start. I don't know. I was just kind of underwhelmed, and they have a really tough week this week. Talk about a team like watch out for them. They play Tulane tomorrow, and Tulane went nuclear this weekend. A huge portal class. I was just down there with Coach Ullman and their staff. They're fired up for what they have on campus. They only have 3 high school guys that came in this season, so almost built entirely through the portal. They really showed out this weekend, even though all the highlights I saw of them looked like it was filmed on a microwave. I don't know what they were on this weekend. Like, I don't know who did the broadcasting for them. The highlights were crazy. It was like really low quality. Complete side note, but Tulane looked really sharp this weekend. Like that's not an easy test for them tomorrow. And then they go and play TCU for 3 games this weekend. So they've got a really tough week ahead. And if you're UCLA, it's like this is kind of prove it week for me. Like I was underwhelmed this weekend. Go out and prove it. You get TCU at home, so they get the advantage there, but still.
Yeah. Do you think it was good for Cervantes to go out there and get his opportunity on Saturday and go out there and throw an inning? Now he got hit, couple hits, couple walks, no strikeouts, and gave up an earned run. But do you think it was good for them just to get his feet wet in a game that they were already basically ahead in?
Yeah, I mean,
I would
it's
have
the
given him
same.
more.
It's kind of the
I
same
wonder if they're
logic
gonna
with
throw more of
Tennessee
this.
with Appenzeller.
I wonder if they're going to throw more against Tulane, and maybe that was just more of like almost a bullpen session. Then they're going to let him go
I don't know.
more against Tulane. But who knows? I would have liked to see more from the freshmen. But again, I'm with you on all those points. Like this is a tough week. This is not going to be an easy week for them, and they're going to really put them to the test here. Let's move to LSU at number 1. I think that there was some question marks as far as who's going to be in the weekend rotation, and I think that we kind of all just thought Casey Evans is going to be the guy. He had some struggles. But the rest of this team really didn't. And when your 9-hitter is Trent Caraway, who's got 20 career home runs as an Oregon State transfer in, and he goes out there and wins Player of the Weekend for LSU as the 9-hitter, the offense scares me. And Zach York hits a ball that I don't know if it's come down yet in Baton Rouge, but there's some really talented guys there. And they have like Seth Dardar comes in off the bench and comes in and he hits a home run. Like LSU looks like they could be the part again, and Jay Johnson may have just done it all over again. Jason, what was your takeaways? I mean, I know transfer class and they had some just ridiculous talent.
Oh man, I feel like a freaking wet blanket, but I'm gonna wet this blanket up again.
I'm going to too. I like where you're going with it.
First 2 games, first 5 innings, both games, they
were
looked
down
like doo-doo.
both games.
They looked like doo-doo. I think it was 8. If you were to take Friday, Saturday, and just took, say the first 5 innings, I think it was 6-4 LSU or Milwaukee over LSU. Like it just they couldn't hit. It was, you're right. York had a big hit, and it was great to see on Sunday. He went crazy. That early on, they put up like 4 crooked numbers in a row. So I think for me, like it was Milwaukee. Again, I was expecting 21-7 all 3 games. Now again, like no one expects 21 runs every single game, but I also wasn't expecting like their starters to come out of the game both times like with a loss, like if they didn't come back and get it. So like that was definitely not like in my bingo card for LSU game 1 and game 2 versus Milwaukee. So like they scored a lot of runs, but for me, it's kind of one of those things at the beginning of the year. Like if you're putting up super crooked numbers in the latter half innings, is that because like that's who your offense is, or is that because this is the opponent kind of tinkering with their pitching? And that's kind of what it felt like. I mean, Milwaukee's Friday night guy made them look pretty silly, honestly.
Yeah, he was good. And honestly, though, so I'm just going to throw out a take because I know Will's going to go kind of that same tangent. It was good to see Gavin Guidry back for LSU, coming in and getting those 2 innings and going 5 strikeouts, and he looks healthy and good to go. Cooper Williams was good on Friday night, so I think that felt good.
Yep.
Casey Evans not pitching well on Friday night necessarily didn't feel probably terrific for LSU fans, but I think that you've got some other guys that could really make some big roles for them. And I was like, again, Cooper Moore threw well for them too on Saturday. So I don't think that you're in this huge panic mode, but it wasn't just as sharp as you would probably like. And both sides of the ball really in those first 2 games kind of sluggish. And I don't know if that's more like, hey, we have a dominant team. We have a really good bullpen. We have guys that can just play anywhere, or if it was just kind of a slow start. But it could be either one. But again, at home they did win all 3, and we got to win.
And not only they win all 3, they run ruled them in 2 of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Again, we're splitting hairs here, and but I think if you were just to look at kind of how to start, the first Friday and Saturday were both super surprising.
Yeah. And again, Jake Brown and Trent Caraway really good over the weekend for them. So I think that they have pieces. York again, really good. I think that they're going to continue to build on this. Will, go ahead, throw your blanket out there, and I know you're ready.
I have to do it as the Wisconsin resident. I have to give some love to the sole Division I team in the state. This was probably the most impressive 0-3 weekend that you will see this season. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
They led into the 7th inning in game 1. I thought they put together unbelievable at-bats against Case and Evans. It wasn't like Case and Evans walked a bunch of guys and was killing himself. Like, this offense looked really sharp against him. And yes,
Agreed.
I know when you box score surf and you see LSU struck out 50-something guys over the weekend, you're like, oh, they dominated this series. Like, this was not a tape-to-tape series for them. I mean, they blew the thing open late on Friday. And again, a school like Milwaukee, you're going to run into some depth issues at some point over the course of a 3-game set, especially with the number 1 team. Sure, you're just seeing some things on Friday. They blow it open late. Saturday, they just gave them hell for 9 innings. I mean, simple as that. Like, I mean, if you told me that coming into this weekend, UW-Milwaukee was going to lead for 7 innings in game 1 and lose by 2 in game 2, I'd have been like, you're crazy. Like, there's no way. And game 3, I think that's where the depth kind of showed, right? They kind of came out of the gate hot, and then the depth showed. They kind of ran out of arms. I think they trotted out 7 pitchers on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Milwaukee did.
They have a ton of depth.
6. They threw 6 guys on Sunday, but yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, used a lot of guys. So I feel like it was just that kind of day for them at that point when you compete really well on Friday and Saturday. Genuinely, I was kind of underwhelmed with LSU. And I know they blew it open late, and it's like, okay, that's good to see. Like, it wasn't like they beat them by 1 and 2 runs on Friday, Saturday, and then ran away with it on Sunday. I was underwhelmed at times. I thought in a team that, and yes, Milwaukee was picked towards the top of the horizon this year and returned a lot of good pieces. They also lost some really big pieces from that team last year. They lost one of their best hitters in Tyler Vickers to Arizona. So I think if you look at this series in a vacuum, it was kind of underwhelming for LSU, and it was really impressive what UW-Milwaukee did in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. I mean, Kent State's giving LSU all they can handle right now. They're playing right as we speak. It's 7-10 in the 7th. Yeah. So like, if I'm a gambling person, I would definitely not bet on Kent State. but again, it's not one of those things where you're looking at it and saying like number 1 team without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's kind of where we're going to be all season, because I think there's a lot of good baseball teams. I don't 100%. Know if there's one team that I can like label and say they're going to lead. I mean, we've already blown it. We don't have UCLA number 1 anymore. So tape to finish, not going to be there. So anyways, I love it, man. Top 25 show, guys. Every single Monday, we're going to come live for you guys and talk about why we made our picks, where they're at in this ranking here. And we're going to rank them every single Monday with the graphic from Just Baseball Media. Super pumped to have you guys. Thanks again for coming on. Will, any final thoughts?
We get midweek madness tomorrow.
Midweek madness. I mean, we've already had some today. It's been awesome. We've already had Monday games. I mean, we're
Tuesdays are the day though. Tuesday is always the midweek madness. I'm fired up for it.
Yeah. I love what was that 2 years ago when Florida didn't win a midweek game and still made it to Omaha? Like,
unreal.
It was insane. Jason, anything you want to throw at us? Thanks for coming on again from 6'4 Analytics.
Yeah. I have no idea who the top 25 teams are. That's probably the best way for me to put it. I think it speaks to the parity of the game right now that I think any team, if you look at their midweeks, you could say, look out. And so there's a lot of depth because of the portal, and a lot of individuals can bring in a lot of great portal arms, but it's a unique year right now. So I'm excited for the game because it feels like there's a lot of really good energy, and I think that great energy is producing some really great games. So excited for that.
Yeah, so many fans got out to the preseason tournaments here, or the regular season tournaments here. It was awesome. Weekends were filled up with college ball. Go watch some college baseball. You'll see us here Monday nights. We're going to do the top 25 show. Thursday nights, we're doing Twitter Spaces. Come on, bring your questions. Come on out. We're going to ask questions there from the fans there. We want to hear from you guys. We're going to talk about the weekend series going into it. And then, of course, we got the Saturday morning live show, which was awesome this week. Jason stepped in this week. I think we've got a guest star, Jamie Plunkett, I believe.
Jamie Plunkett this Saturday.
You better go 5-0. You better go 5-0, Jamie.
Yeah, Jason's already started off the guest stars at 5-0 now, so he's going to have to continue that.
As our resident complete idiot, I will just say everything was a guess. And if you just flip your coin right 5 times in a row, that's just data that you get it all right 5 times in a row. So
I love it. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back again Thursday night, Twitter Spaces, same time. We'll see you guys then.